The last moment of Yuki's previous life flashed clear in his mind, the memory of dying stained in red splatters across his vision. He stood at the end of a long hallway lined with pale pillars, a red carpet stretching toward a glowing door. A bubble caught his attention on the floor. Convinced he had already died once, he reached out and touched it, and light exploded around him. Smoke and dust settled around him as he caught his breath. Kneeling on the checkered floor beneath a throne, he understood at last what had happened to him. Wings unfolded from his back as a translucent screen flickered to life in front of him, displaying unfamiliar text and options. The screen settled into a status window. His name was Yuki, his race Archdemon, his class Demon Lord. A title glowed beneath his skills, Demon Lord from another world. He stared at his absurdly low luck stat next to an unreasonably high dexterity, covering half his face with his hand. He confirmed the truth to himself. This world was different from the one he knew. The realization settled fully. He had been reincarnated as a demon lord in another world, which meant his death before had been real. Text explained the world around him. Dungeons were scattered across various regions, and Demon Lord was simply the title given to whoever managed one. The dungeon core he now carried held an enormous reserve of mana, though a newborn dungeon remained fragile and could easily be broken through. Because of that weakness, someone had to be summoned to manage and defend it, ensuring its survival. Sitting on the floor with the dungeon core in his hand, he noted how game, like the whole system, felt, and how his fate was now tied directly to the dungeons. Sitting before his screen with a claw resting near his mouth, he realized his analysis skill let him perceive more the higher its level grew. He and the dungeon shared one life now. He rested his face in his hands, thinking through his language translation skill and how his item box capacity depended entirely on his mana. His Mana Eye skill let him see mana fired at him from opponents, a racial ability that was useless without an enemy present. Browsing the dungeon's catalog, he found food items and even a video game for sale, amazed that dungeon points could buy them. EP? A gacha system inside the catalog let him summon monsters to expand his dungeon. Sitting against the wall with the core lifted in his hand, he made a quiet promise. Despite everything strange about this world, it had given him a second chance to live. He called the core his other heart before pushing it away using his item box skill. Yuki tapped through the catalog shop, noting that most goods could be bought with dungeon points, which meant food wouldn't be a real problem for him. He chewed on a sample piece, realizing the real challenge would be earning enough DP. Still, he couldn't wait to try the gacha system. The catalog laid out the rules for collecting points. Monsters inside the dungeon, intruders killed by the dungeon master, absorbed corpses. Deciding to explore before worrying further, he stepped out into the open world, a landscape of jagged floating rock formations stretching before him. He wondered if he'd ever fly over that sky himself, admiring the scenery until warning signs among the plants caught his eye, exploding mushrooms and a rare medicinal herb rich in mana. His relaxed walk ended the moment a massive ancient dragon rose in front of him, powerful enough to kill him outright. He raised his hands, begging for a peaceful talk, but the dragon only roared, accusing him of trespassing on its territory. Panicking, he used his analyze skill and confirmed the creature was an ancient dragon of the Supreme Dragon class. The dragon returned the analysis correctly, guessing he was a high-ranked demon. His own status revealed the truth. Instead, the dragon sat at level 987, while he was still level 1. Forcing calm the way humans supposedly did under extreme danger, Yuki observed the dragon quietly as it demanded to know why a demon stood in its territory. The dragon prepared to drive him off as an intruder, but Yuki shouted for it to wait, proposing a deal instead of a fight. Cornered and honest, he admitted he had no power to defeat the dragon, but that didn't mean he'd accept dying without a fight. From his item box, he pulled out his offering, a simple chocolate bar. Teasing that the dragon loved sweets, Yuki noted he could smell honey on its breath from a distance, and the dragon reacted with surprise at the sweet. Unwrapping the bar, the dragon insisted it hadn't raided any bee's nest out of hunger, protesting far too much to be believed. It devoured the chocolate whole, eyes going wide the instant the taste hit its tongue. Overwhelmed by the flavor, the dragon admitted nothing in this world compared to it. The dragon agreed instantly, allowing him to live, then began shifting form, its massive body dissolving into swirling light. In place of the dragon stood a young woman with horns. Insisting shifting into a human shape was nothing difficult for a being of her age. Now settled in his dungeon, she teased that he must be drawn to her human form, then complained about the holes torn through her ill-fitting shirt. The dragon explained she had only been born the day before. Without parents, unsure herself of the details, Yuki cut off the lecture, demanding his chocolate back instead. The dragon cheered, adding that plenty of demons these days were actually born from parents. She tore into the chocolate bar, savoring the sweetness she couldn't get enough of, while Yuki tossed her another piece, admitting she'd been waiting for it. He decided to call her Li-Fi, short for her full name Leficios, and she accepted, telling him to drop the dragon title. In return, she started calling him Yuki instead of demon. Yuki admitted most demons he'd have expected to meet were arrogant and aggressive, calling her strange for how normal she acted. She returned the accusation. Li-Fi mused that crushing dungeons out of boredom had actually paid off, since it led her to a demon strange enough to offer her a real deal. She brushed off her past habit of destroying dungeons as something behind her now. Li-Fi declared she decided to live there from now on, admitting the place suited her surprisingly well compared to the dungeons she used to wreck. This one felt comfortable enough that she was seriously considering giving up her old lair for good. Yuki panicked, urging her to think it over a little longer before committing to anything. So sudden, Li-Fi's eyes welled up, insisting she genuinely couldn't hold back the decision any longer. Cornered by her expression, Yuki gave in and agreed, marking the second day since his reincarnation as a demon lord, and just like that, a supreme dragon settled into his dungeon uninvited, uninterested in leaving. Yuki decided he was ready to make the most of his new life as the reincarnated demon lord, determined to explore everything this strange world had to offer. The story of his dungeon building journey continued, chapter after chapter, as word of the manga's popularity spread far beyond its web novel roots. He opened the dungeon menu and marked out a nearby cave as the official dungeon area, checking how many dungeon points the expansion would cost him. The system responded with a burst of light and static as the interface confirmed the change, leaving him staring in amazement at the display in his hands. He tried to push the boundary further, but the request came back short. The expansion needed far more points than he currently had. Still, he could feel the atmosphere of the cave shifting around him. He realized his dungeon points were climbing steadily thanks to a certain trespasser being classified as an intruder inside his territory. Patience, he decided, would pay off. With some points saved up, he opened the summon menu and chose to try out the cheapest monster listed in the catalog. A blinding flash filled the cave, and when it faded, a small round creature sat jiggling on the ground. He leaned in and poked it, delighted to find it soft, round, and unmistakably blue, exactly like the slimes he'd read about back home. He decided to name it She, cradling the little slime as it wobbled happily in his hands, his face lighting up with unexpected affection. Checking its stats, he was stunned to see that She's luck rating was somehow higher than his own. He tried gently rolling it along the ground, wondering aloud if it was trying to comfort him, even as a voice in the corner muttered that he ranked lower than a slime. Overcome with fondness, he hugged She close and declared it his child, only for a low growl to interrupt the moment. A three-headed Cerberus, far higher level than either of them, emerged from the shadows of the dungeon. Sensing an intruder, he stepped forward cautiously, She wiggling along close behind him. He rallied his slime with full confidence, insisting that despite its low level, its skill and instincts would be enough to take the beast down a notch. The Cerberus struck first, splattering She across the stone before Yuki could finish his command, and fury erupted across his face at the sight of his precious companion destroyed. He lunged forward and drove a devastating blow into the beast with raw force. Blood scattered through the cavern as the impact tore through the Cerberus. Yuki stood breathing hard amid the wreckage, blood-streaked and stunned, staring at what was left of the fight before him. Checking his status screen, Yuki wondered aloud if his stats were actually higher than he thought. He noticed his luck stat hadn't budged at all, though he'd gained a new skill called martial art, likely a result of the desperate kick he'd thrown moments earlier. The thought was cut short as he remembered She and took off running back into the cave, brushing aside anything else for the moment. He found the slime resting against the rock, badly damaged but alive, and let out a breath of relief, wondering if its regeneration skill was what had saved it. She wiggled weakly, and Yuki chose to take the movement as a sign that it was trying to reassure him it was fine. He insisted that from now on, he would be the one to fight, arguing that it wasn't right to send a pet into battle. Pets, he declared, existed to be loved and protected, not to be put in danger. Later, back at his throne room, he sat lost in thought, still turning that idea over in his head. Nearby, someone poked at his slime out of curiosity. The girl responsible was Li-Fi, watching She with quiet interest. Since he now found himself living in another world, Yuki figured this was the perfect chance to learn some of the magic he'd always wanted to master. Yuki attempted to use magic for the initial time but faltered abruptly, startling Leficios. Leficios observed Yuki's analysis talent and stated why he appeared puzzled while checking his attributes. She questioned Yuki's practice of inspecting each creature's condition thoroughly. Yuki cautioned Leficios that she might face consequences, while Leficios asked for additional chocolate. Leficios passed Yuki something enigmatic, and he recognized it was not chocolate. Leficios offered Yuki a bag of biscuits, stating he should remove the wrapping before eating. Leficios sampled the biscuits and was astonished by their sugary and crisp consistency. Yuki reviewed his attributes while Leficios kept eating, noting the biscuits did not significantly improve his skills. Urged by the snack, Leficios readied to instruct Yuki some magic. Yuki accepted the biscuits and concentrated, prepared to learn magic from Leficios. Leficios readied to instruct Yuki magic by initial allowing him sense the world's mana. Yuki gripped Leficios' palms, astonished by the sudden sensation of energy flowing. Mana flowed through Yuki's form, distinct from dungeon mana, charging him with power. Leficios verified Yuki could withstand her mana securely, ensuring he felt the energy correctly. Yuki, astonished and drained, was urged to try directing the mana on his own. Leficios urged Yuki to activate his mana, demonstrating the fundamental use of magic. She directed Yuki to visualize the next step and repeat her words cautiously. Yuki imagined a distant land and plucked a blossom in his mind as directed. He effectively formed an actual blossom with his magic, startling himself with the outcome. Leficios stated it was just an introductory exercise and readied Yuki for a mightier spell. Yuki concentrated on forming fire using his mana, imagining how it sparked from a spark. He effectively produced a flame and was thrilled by the control over his magic. Yuki tested further, visualizing using fire like an armament, astonished by its possibility. The mana circulation became immense, and Leficios pressed him to adjust his power cautiously. Yuki labored to manage the flow, while Leficios prompted him that efficiency and control are secret in magic. Leficios showed Yuki that the secret to magic is the picture within his head, not the incantation itself. Yuki asked if he could create magic beyond fire and blossoms, while Leficios stated possibility in elements. Leficios observed Yuki's connection with earth and fire magic, vowing to guide him securely. Yuki tried wind and water magic, discovering little impacts while experimenting with his skills. He labored to control water magic creatively, recognizing he required a mightier imagination to improve. Yuki recognized that visualizing familiar appliances assisted him visualize and control his water magic. He tested with making a floating water dragon, savoring the inventive test. Leficios asked what Yuki was doing, concerned regarding his peculiar practice with mystical water. She observed that Yuki seemed to enjoy the process, comparing it to earlier mistakes with the biscuit wrapper. Leficios asked if she could try the identical magic on herself, and Yuki urged her to attempt it. Leficios was astonished as Yuki applied magic while washing her hair, not what she expected. Yuki cautiously rinsed Leficios, despite the stinging water, following her instructions accurately. Meanwhile, villagers cautioned each other regarding someone accessing the haunted woods, showing threat in the region. They discussed the danger of accessing the woods, dreading demise if they faltered. The villagers observed the old dragon's awakening, recognizing the woods now gripped an even greater threat. A youthful girl rushed through the woods, panting, as villagers yelled in alarm at her appearance. Her face showed determination and urgency, highlighting the threat and tension in the haunted woods. Yuki readied the home before leaving, instructing Leficios to watch over it cautiously, while ensuring the food he left would not be eaten all at once. He reviewed the dungeon entrance one last time, verifying the region was protected and Leficios was prepared to help she in maintaining command. Leficios became fascinated with a little contest tool, spending time investigating its mechanics while Yuki considered on the simplicity of his summoning choice. Yuki observed the surrounding woods, noting the lack of animals or intruders, which made dungeon management and gathering DP points challenging. He resolved to expand the dungeon outward, mapping the fresh domain and arranging its development for coming adventures with his allies. Yuki inspected the dungeon screen, arranging to expand using DP from Leficios, ensuring traps and summons were readied efficiently. He imagined coming possibilities, picturing a majestic castle beyond the dungeon, grinning at the possibility development and adventure forward. While investigating the woods, Yuki detected a close creature, swiftly using his stealth and foe search abilities to avoid threat. He reviewed talent scrolls cautiously, learning fresh martial arts and magic skills, readying himself for coming dungeon tests. Observing his attributes in the DP catalog, Yuki estimated the finest ways to train securely, considering the threats close. Yuki reviewed the dungeon expansion advancement, noting formidable monsters appearing outside Leficios' guided region. He verified the expansion succeeded, charging his dungeon chart while spending most of his accumulated DP points. Returning home, Yuki found the kitchen vacant, recognizing Leficios had eaten all the food he stored. Yuki sat annoyed, stomach rumbling, as Leficios appeared steadily, expecting an explanation for his response. Leficios stated her deeds had a cause, reassuring Yuki she had done nothing genuinely wrong. Yuki angrily scolded Leficios, annoyed by her eating all the treats he cautiously readied. He lectured Leficios on her conduct, questioning how a supreme dragon could act so recklessly. Leficios shielded herself, declaring her power as a supreme dragon, capable of causing disasters at will. She bowed profoundly, apologizing sincerely, vowing never to make treats without permission again. Leficios rushed off to leave, while Yuki sighed, recognizing he had to manage with no DP staying. Yuki confronted an enormous pile of monster corpses, stunned by the scale of Leficios' deeds. Leficios cheerfully observed the DP points she earned, leaving Yuki noticeably uncomfortable with the carnage. Yuki scolded Leficios for hitting him, even though she stated she slew all the monsters. Leficios apologized, emphasizing her innocence while Yuki estimated how to handle the pile of corpses. He rubbed Leficios' head, attempting to serene her while she chuckled, easing the tension between them. Yuki forgave Leficios for consuming too much, stating he couldn't create unlimited food from thin air. He proposed hunting for food themselves next time, while Leficios vowed to limit her consumption. The next day, Yuki trained in the dungeon, battling monsters and charging the chart with effort. Despite the difficulty, Yuki tried his abilities, recognizing his tolerance to grotesque creatures was limited. He pondered specializing in magic as a demon lord, appreciating his distinctive mana eyes talent for plan. Yuki finished mapping the dungeon region, arranging to focus on training water and earth magic next. He reviewed DP revenue rates, noting the increase with Leficios' aid and additional dungeon activity. Yuki found a monster's corpse abruptly and became concerned regarding the threat it represented. He found a wounded human girl close, recognizing she was yet living but earnestly injured. Using an elevated grade potion, Yuki poured it over her wounds, trying to heal her swiftly. Yuki ensured the rescued girl was secure, grateful he had readied a potion beforehand. He bore her cautiously back to the dungeon, while Leficios responded to his focus towards her. Yuki observed the girl might be a vampire, verifying her peculiar characteristics with Leficios' aid. He inspected her condition, learning her distinctive abilities like blood drinking, cooking, and tailoring skills. Yuki recognized some races, like vampires and succubi, were near extinction due to human abuse. The girl began waking up, and Yuki observed cautiously to ensure she felt secure. He asked if she felt any pain, showing concern as she sat up gradually. The girl hesitated, but Yuki assured her he wouldn't bite, easing her dread. Yuki greeted she, showing the little slime and inviting her to interact with it. She cautiously touched the slime for the initial time, interest overcoming her initial uncertainty. The girl chuckled, savoring the slime's tickling sensation, showing her comfort and playful mood. Yuki presented himself, stating that the slime was she and the other creature was Leficios. The girl grinned brightly and revealed her name was Irona, showing comfort and confidence towards Yuki. Yuki asked why she was deep in the woods, learning she had been chased by humans. He inquired if she knew where her home was, attempting to aid her find security. Iruna revealed her home and family were gone, tearfully stating that everyone had died. Yuki assured her, noting the dungeon was far from human villages, so she would be secure. He offered her shelter, stating no humans there were perilous, allowing her to stay as lengthy as required. Iruna voiced sadness over her parents' deaths, sensing survivors' guilt from escaping human cruelty. Yuki became resolved to protect her, assuring her the bullying claims were false and she was secure. Yuki assured Iruna he was genuinely glad she survived, showing comfort and concern in his expression. Iruna replied cheerfully, calling Yuki Oni-chan, acknowledging his protective appearance and forming confidence with him. Yuki asked what she wished to eat, showing care for her instant needs after the ordeal. Iruna stunned him, requesting his blood, reminding Yuki of her vampire character and feeding needs. Yuki recognized her request was natural, remembering she was a vampire and considering how to help her. Iruna advanced closer to Yuki, questioning for his blood as her vampire urges directed her. Yuki verified her request, reassuring Leficios that he would comply and aid her securely. Iruna bit Yuki cautiously, taking just enough to satisfy her appetite without hurting him. Yuki responded to the peculiar sensing, astonished but staying serene as he supported her. Iruna kept drinking tenderly, and Yuki recognized this was a natural part of her vampire needs. Yuki attempted to psychologically prepare, convincing himself he could handle Iruna's vampire bite without alarm. Leficios voiced concern over the circumstance but permitted Yuki to proceed, trusting his judgment. Iruna verified her wish for Yuki's blood again, strengthening her vampire urges and natural needs. Yuki directed her, while Leficios directed Iruna on correct conduct, emphasizing respect and secure interactions. Iruna explored the dungeon with interest, bearing a little basket, while Yuki readied a fresh activity. Yuki estimated dungeon points cautiously, thrilled to test a fresh mechanism for collecting resources efficiently. He triggered the gacha screen, readying to see what object luck would grant him next. Yuki selected the 1000 DP option, anticipating a startling or valuable prize from the mechanism. A magic revolver appeared, astonishing Yuki as it vowed mighty skills for his dungeon adventures. Yuki celebrated excitedly, recognizing the gacha mechanism might offer uncommon objects with an elevated drop rate. He concentrated intensely, prepared to activate the next gacha pull and hoping for something valuable. Disappointment hit as the pull faltered, leaving him encircled by ordinary or worthless objects. Iruna observed, inquisitive regarding Yuki's frustration, while he considered on his reduced luck stat. Iruna asked to try the gacha herself, showing Yuki that some objects could appear differently to others. Iruna enthusiastically asked Yuki for a chance to try the gacha, her enthusiasm visible in her smile. Yuki directed her palm as she pressed the option, showing her how the mechanism worked cautiously. Fenrir, the enormous wolf, appeared abruptly, startling Yuki as its appearance filled the chamber. Iruna neared the fluffy creature without dread, marveling at its scale and mild demeanor. The party observed Fenrir peacefully interacting with Iruna, while Yuki stated her appraisal talent plainly. Yuki asked regarding Fenrir's strength, observing the enormous wolf with cautious interest. Layla stated Fenrir was yet a child, yet far mightier than ordinary creatures. Yuki asked Leffy if she could see his dungeon panel, seeking clarity regarding its features. Iruna rode Fenrir tenderly, discovering she could interact securely with the youthful beast. Leela stated that Iruna's skill to see sure things came from being part of Yuki's family. Yuki responded with surprise, attempting to understand the meaning of marriage in Iruna's explanation. Iruna explained that for vampires, exchanging blood was akin to a marriage ceremony. Yuki freaked, annoyed he wasn't informed sooner, overwhelmed by the revelation of the ceremony. Iruna teased Yuki regarding his reactions, while he attempted to deny any enthusiasm or misunderstanding. Yuki sighed, deciding to ignore the incident for now, as Iruna chased the dragon away. Yuki inspected the magic revolver cautiously, readying to test its capabilities using his mana. He fired the revolver cautiously, wondering if his method and aim were precise enough. The revolver formed impacts proportional to mana spent, penetrating or scratching the rock accordingly. After a mighty shot, Yuki felt satisfied, understanding the revolver could even out his gacha losses. He considered on the revolver's convenience, storing mana in bullets for flexible, guided mystical assaults. Yuki found a little cave, noticing movement within, and neared with interest and caution. He talked to Fenrir, questioning if the troublesome creatures had eventually left him solo. Iruna named Fenrir Mofarir, delighted at the wolf's fluffy look and distinctive condition attributes. Yuki asked Fenrir to demonstrate his abilities, inquisitive regarding the wolf's skills and strengths. Fenrir readied to show his distinctive abilities, impressing Yuki with his mighty mystical capabilities. Yuki observed in awe as Fenrir triggered his distinctive talent, advancing at incredible supersonic pace. Fenrir demonstrated form transformation and chain control skills, astonishing Yuki with the wolf's versatile powers. Yuki commended Fenrir, delighted at the wolf's strength, agility and mystical versatility in battle. Yuki concentrated, considering of a strategy, and called out to Fenrir, readying a fresh test. Fenrir caught the flying object midair with accuracy, proving his talent and trustworthiness to Yuki. Fenrir bore the disc with energy, panting and trotting back towards Yuki, full of enthusiasm. Yuki threw another object, observing Fenrir leap and catch it smoothly, savoring the interaction. After playful frolicking, Yuki observed Fenrir's bodily strength, impressed by the wolf's agility and power. Yuki discussed domain limits with Fenrir, clarifying which sections pertain to Leify and which to him. Yuki relaxed beside Fenrir, allowing the wolf to live openly within the dungeon's designated region. Yuki stated to Fenrir that hunting within the dungeon would earn dungeon points efficiently. He welcomed Fenrir to his home, inviting the wolf to play and hunt jointly frequently. Iruna asked to join the enjoyment, wanting to play with Mofarir alongside Yuki next time. While structure his dungeon, Yuki discovers a slime. Thrilled, he eventually finds a servant. Filled with delight, Yuki rejects his humanity and thoroughly embraces his existence as Demon Lord. Yuki tries to soar using a fresh talent but crashes spectacularly, failing embarrassingly. Checking his condition, Yuki sees the flying talent is level 5, yet not working. Enraged, Yuki recognizes he wasted 2/3 of his points on an overpriced talent. Yuki falls powerlessly through the air, incapable to soar despite his continued frantic efforts. He bows before the Supreme Dragon, begging guidance to eventually soar through the wide skies. Yuki offers 3 premium-flavored donuts, hoping to appease the dragon's stern, insisting character. The pastries reveal multiple chocolate toppings, astonishing the dragon and capturing her full focus instantly. Delighted, the dragon praises Yuki's sincerity, providing a bonus castella, solidifying her confidence in him. Yuki vows Arena sweets later as repayment for her aid with dungeon arrangements today. Outside, Yuki observes sunlight hurting the dragon, while they discuss domain and dungeon expansion concerns. Yuki explains maintaining his wings concealed to prevent daily existence interference, startling the observing dragon. Iruna touches Yuki's wings, sensing their mystical energy, while he protests, flustered and flustered. Yuki praises the dragon's wings, comparing them to a cake, leaving both sensing awkwardly amused. The dragon assesses Yuki, stating he is not the poorest contrasted to other dragons. She instructs Yuki to focus using his mana eyes and pay close focus. The dragon demonstrates her wings, showing their form, function, and elegance with silent grace. Yuki questions the wings' origin, learning they are illusions formed with her mana energy. The dragon asks Yuki to observe cautiously, teaching him the subtle, correct control of wings. Yuki observes the dragon pouring mana into her wings, readying to demonstrate flying for him. The dragon instructs Yuki to follow her intently, emphasizing cautious observation and focus. Yuki collects his mana, directing it to his wings while trying his initial guided flying. He struggles to maintain form, nearly losing control, while the dragon advises adjustment instantly. Yuki eventually stabilizes, astonished at the sight, appreciating the dragon's guidance and his new skill. Yuki uneasily readies as the dragon tells him she will show genuine flying meaning. The dragon tests Yuki to keep up with her pace, emphasizing accuracy and focus. Yuki spreads his wings, flapping with effort, trying to match the dragon's graceful motions. He struggles, nearly falling, while the dragon watches, guiding his mana and wing control. Both wonder at the heavens, Yuki learning from the dragon, exhilarated by new flying. Adventurers discuss monsters acting strangely in the haunted woods, worrying regarding a perilous look. One adventurer expresses concern, while another reassures them, praying they avoid encountering the enigmatic monster. The supreme dragon is noted as the strongest among dragons, adding tension to the party. Adventurers hurry through the woods, attempting to live while an enigmatic force influences monsters' clothes. A horned tiger appears, signaling threat, forcing the adventurers to react swiftly and strategically. Adventurers confront the horned tiger, recognizing the threat is beyond their ordinary capabilities. One adventurer observes a wolf, its piercing gaze signaling an even higher-level threat. The adventurers question their survival, dreading the woods' monsters might overwhelm them entirely. They decide to flee, acknowledging the wolf as a disaster-level monster requiring instant escape. Meanwhile, the supreme dragon observes the woods, insisting chocolate-coated donuts as her playful prize. Yuki rode rear at full pace through the woods, the wind rushing past as the wolf-like allies surged forward with strength and agility. He concentrated on the hunt, grinning as he readied for the day's test, using his flying talent to scout the region efficiently. A horned tiger appeared in the distance, and Yuki readied his plan, calculating the finest way to approach the prey. Rear leaped forward, charging at the tiger, while Yuki struck with accuracy, combining his abilities to overpower the creature swiftly. The tiger collapsed. Yuki reviewed his equipment, noting various arms were broken, but he stayed satisfied, reflecting that hunting this way was surprisingly simple. Yuki inspected his equipment, considering mightier arms despite specializing in magic, readying for upcoming tests cautiously. He chose a reinforced metal bar, understanding it might break soon, but it would suffice for instant battle needs. Abruptly, an enormous swarm of giant insects appeared, forcing Yuki to react swiftly as threat encircled him. He readied to escape on rear, calculating flying pace and positioning to stay forward of the unceasing assailants. Summoning his magic, Yuki called forth an enormous water dragon, unleashing a mighty assault to defend against the swarm. Yuki dodged jets of acid from assaulting insects, struggling to protect himself while staying on rear's back. The swarm intensified, and Yuki recognized his magic power solo would not be enough to handle so numerous assailants. He reached into his object box, a room that preserved objects by freezing time, seeking for a solution. Yuki threw monster meat to divert the insects, giving himself room and gaining time to strategy the next move. The insects paused, intrigued by the meat, allowing Yuki to think steadily and reconsider his plan for survival. Yuki readied himself and called rear, readying to move as intended towards his next job in the castle. He pondered various arms, considering his elevated dexterity might aid, while scanning options like spears, bows, and swords. Yuki concentrated on an excellent blade, weighing its scale and durability, understanding it might not last lengthy. Iruna neared cheerfully, questioning regarding his strategies. As Yuki reviewed the talent section for inventive solution, he grinned confidently at Iruna, stating he aimed to be an inventive demon lord, prepared to experiment. Yuki inspected his attributes and resolved that if no armament existed, he would create one himself using his abilities. He confidently observed his fresh title, Supreme Dragon's Master, startling Iruna and others with his accomplishments. Yuki reviewed the armament creation talent, understanding that substance grade, imagination, and mana capacity were secret to success. He combined magic enchantment with armament abilities, aiming for a perfect synergy between magic and crafted arms. Starting little, Yuki transformed a lump of iron into a knife, prepared to pour in mana and test it. Yuki triggered the armament creation talent, melting the iron and shaping it with concentrated mana control. Iruna observed as Yuki effectively transformed the iron, commenting on how mushy and pliable it became under his talent. Yuki crafted a sharp iron dagger, noting that dexterity influenced the last armament's accuracy and grade. He gripped the finished sword confidently, while Iruna inspected its craftsmanship and mystical enhancement properties. Yuki intended to refine the dagger further, giving it a double edge and teardrop-like streamlined shape for magic connection. Yuki finished shaping the armament, forming it into a distinctive teardrop-like shape, prepared for testing. Iruna inspected the fresh armament intently, questioning for an explanation while Yuki demonstrated its handling. He breathed a sigh of comfort, glad that no expensive substance had been wasted throughout testing. Yuki recalled the ingredient from the giant rhinoceros beetle, considering its mystical possibility for enhancing the armament. He concentrated intently, reminding himself to concentrate and keep the process straightforward while pouring mana into the crafted armament. Yuki concentrated on simplicity, forming a double-edged armament with correct mass and sharpness, avoiding unnecessary complexity. The last sword emerged as a lovely blossom-shaped excellent blade, astonishing both Yuki and Iruna with its shape. Yuki responded uneasily as Iruna admired the blade, calling it a lovely blossom with mystical aura. He fretted regarding the substance being irreplaceable, while Iruna trembled, impressed by the armament's exceptional grade. Iruna chuckled joyfully at the adorable armament, while Yuki protested, exasperated by her playful response and enthusiasm. Yuki argued jokingly with the Supreme Dragon, debating the title and teasing her regarding preferences and cutesy conduct. She observed the bickering between Yuki and Iruna, deciding to go play elsewhere while the adults quarreled. A few days later, Iruna cheerfully appreciated Yuki for a food, showing her ordinary, human-like conduct when not drinking blood. She voiced delight in drinking Yuki's blood, sensing lucky and delighted by the experience. Iruna rushed outside to play, with Yuki calling after her, reminding her to stay secure and return before shadowy. Night fell, but Iruna never came to the dungeon, leaving Yuki stunned and fretted, pondering what had happened to the sugary little girl. Iruna went absent from the dungeon, leaving Yuki and the others fretted. Yuki detected something peculiar and stood alert on his throne, listening cautiously. Rear reported tracking human scents and a carriage leaving the woods, indicating threat. Yuki concluded Iruna had been captured by a traitor, not an unknown monster. Yuki, Leffy, and Rear readied to follow the scent towards the nearest human settlement. Yuki asked Leffy to accompany him, readying for the perilous operation forward. Leffy consented, acknowledging Iruna had become part of their broader family. They observed an enormous gathering of dragons assembling, signaling a mighty clash. Leffy intended to intimidate the humans and regain Iruna using the dragon's assistance. Yuki and Leffy resolved to act jointly, resolved to rescue their little sister. Iruna woke up within a little cell, puzzled and scared by her surroundings. She observed other prisoners close, recognizing she was in a human-gripping region. The kidnappers acknowledged she was living, and recalled she had lost her parents. One of the men struck Iruna, blaming her for causing trouble in their party. They menaced her further, intending to trade her to corrupt aristocrats for gain. Iruna accepted her circumstance steadily, trusting Yuki to protect her despite the threat. She considered on Yuki's compassion, recognizing he felt warm and dependable like family. Iruna believed that Yuki and Leffy would come to rescue her from confinement. Resolved, she prayed to the Earth Spirit for strength to escape her cell. The Earth Spirit replied, opening the restraint and cell, giving Iruna hope to act. Iruna requested the shadowy spirit to make her unseen to avoid her kidnappers. She intended to conceal in the cell until Yuki and Leffy could arrive. Iruna resolved to save the other prisoners and remain brave despite dread. Meanwhile, an emergency alert reached the dungeon, signaling monsters approaching the woods. The dungeon staff readied to defend against the incoming monsters, readying for fight. Dungeon leaders recognized the incoming monsters as a flock of adult dragons. They commanded all troops and citizens to prepare and evacuate instantly. Leaders concentrated on securely evacuating the city to avoid casualties. Yuki and Leffy neared the city, Recognizing the threat the dragons posed, Lefi cautioned Yuki to act cautiously, ensuring Iruna's security throughout the rescue. Dungeon archers fired at the incoming dragons, trying to graduate their advance. Yuki observed Rear advancing cautiously, prepared to track Iruna's scent. Yuki commanded Rear to find Iruna, following her trail through the city. Within the dungeon, everyone ready to evacuate the prisoners swiftly and cautiously. Iruna began sliding across the floor, advancing towards security while staying concealed. Iruna confronted her kidnappers boldly as they menaced and abused her. Yuki neared a locked entryway, prepared to confront whoever gripped Iruna. Within, the prisoners hurried, breaking free from their bonds to escape. The men within were stunned and unsure who was causing the disorder. Yuki, Lefi, and the others readied to intervene, advancing into the structure. Yuki scanned the region, annoyed that he couldn't instantly see Iruna. Foes recognized him as a threat and commanded their forces to assault. Yuki's rage surged as he resolved not to let the villains live, readying for clash. Yuki confronted a furious assailant wielding a blade, dodging the initial strike. The man swung wildly, screaming, but Yuki stayed serene. Two witnesses froze in shock, staring as Yuki smoothly countered. Their dread expanded as they recognized their ally had fallen. Yuki advanced with accuracy, striking again. Blood splattered across the floor while foes attempted to retaliate, but faltered. The earth shook as another foe collapsed under Yuki's swift assault. His dominance was undeniable. Yuki stared down the last assailant, who charged in desperation, but Yuki's control ended the battle entirely. Yuki confronted the enormous Fenrir, Rear, emerging aggressively. The monster lunged, leaving marks across the floor, and foe observed Yuki's control over Rear. He commanded his allies to seize the circumstance instantly. Rear hesitated, sensing threat. The crystal artifact rolled forward, its magic disrupting the monster's pace effectively. Yuki calmed Rear, ensuring the Fenrir was unharmed. Confidence between them expanded noticeably mightier. Yuki assessed the disturbance crystal, recognizing its skill to manipulate monster movement within the haunted woods. Yuki confronted a party of human foes, studying their attributes and skills. They readied for an immense battle. Yuki grinned confidently, understanding his strength far exceeded theirs. He anticipated their assaults easily. The foes attempted to strategize, arranging to overwhelm him with numbers. Yuki stayed serene and readied. Yuki struck the air, forming mighty waves that pushed back his assailants, demonstrating obvious dominance. Yuki criticized their weakness, remarking even mosquitoes would be mightier. The foes recognized defeat was imminent. Yuki asked Rear to detect Iruna's place. The Fenrir sniffed around, but blood puzzled its senses. The battlefield was scattered with debris. Yuki pondered, questioning the slaves, but recognized it would take too lengthy. He resolved to confront the lord of the estate directly, heading through the corridor with determination. Yuki cornered a horrified man, insisting Iruna's whereabouts, his blade piercing the floor in warning. Screams echoed through the estate as Yuki pressed his advantage, forcing all tolerance into alarm and disorder. The horrified man acknowledged he didn't know Iruna's place. Yuki's blade pressed him further. Yuki considered on Iruna's cleverness, recognizing she had fled even when previously captured by foes. Reinforcements reached to test Yuki, but he stayed composed, readying for another clash. Yuki trailed the trail of blood and destruction, seeking relentlessly for Iruna throughout the estate. Iruna rushed desperately through the roads, considering of her parents and seeking security from capture. Iruna hugged her ally tightly, tears streaming, as the estate and village burned violently around them. Iruna pleaded desperately for security, urging her friend to escape while gripping onto hope and courage. Yuki neared the foe force's stronghold, stepping forward confidently despite the immense number of armed adversaries. Yuki accessed the estate, observing the foe's majestic reception, ready to confront anyone in his route. Iruna, trembling, voiced dread and longing for comfort. Yuki stayed resolved, shielding her as threat loomed. Iruna recalled moments of ordinary existence, wishing for games and naps with family and siblings again. Yuki voiced frustration, acknowledging the complexity of guarding her while facing immense foe forces. Iruna wept softly, expressing dread of being solo again, longing for comfort and security close. Yuki confronted foes, advancing despite their numbers, while Iruna observed in terror, dreading imminent threat. Abruptly, a fresh mighty appearance appeared, a winged warrior and beast observing Yuki and Iruna's struggle. Iruna rushed through the roads, calling out for Yuki, frantic for his appearance and protection. Her tears streamed down her face as she dreaded losing Yuki amidst disorder and foes. Yuki eventually caught Iruna, gripping her tightly, providing comfort after the frightening ordeal. Iruna grinned through tears, sensing assured that she did her finest throughout the perilous escape. Yuki stated the town's dangers and directed Iruna to evacuate securely with Rear, maintaining her protected. Iruna informed Yuki regarding numerous other folk abducted, pleading for aid and protection instantly. Yuki assured Iruna, vowing to save them while arranging cautiously, showing serene determination. Yuki directed Rear to watch over Iruna, readying to confront staying foes efficiently. Yuki confronted foes threatening Iruna, stopping them from using arms against her, showing decisive authority. Yuki's rage erupted against humans committing atrocities, his resolve to punish them expanded mightier fiercely. Yuki erupts with rage, targeting humans after witnessing cruelty, his magic immense their defenses. The Demon Lord stands amid destruction, vowing humans should face extinction for their continued offenses. Yuki approaches cautiously, the humans tremble, uncertain how to respond to his extreme appearance. Ilona intervenes, calming Yuki, reminding him to control his rage before hurting anyone further. Yuki steadies himself, blade prepared, ready to act only against those who genuinely deserve punishment. Ilona embraces Yuki tenderly, guiding him away from rage and urging serene after the clash. Yuki blinks in surprise as Iluna reassures him, her appearance soothing his restless mind. Laficios appears playful, reminding Yuki that after hard work, it is time for a feast. Yuki vows a distinctive snack for Laficios, sparking enthusiasm and joyful anticipation. Laficios readies cautiously, eager for the prize, while Yuki smiles, ensuring her joy. Yuki and Iluna are neared abruptly as someone interrupts, breaking their personal conversation. Lilo Lubia introduces himself as the town's landlord, bowing formally before Yuki and Iluna. Yuki steadily explains the town's troubles, apologizing for the deeds of his folk. Lilo invites Yuki and Iluna to his estate, vowing the visit will not take lengthy. Within the estate, Lilo apologizes sincerely and pledges to prevent similar incidents in the coming. Lilo apologizes once again, seeking forgiveness while Iluna questions whether he knew Yuki's genuine identity. Yuki learns regarding the treaty, recognizing the old man recognized Laficius as a supreme dragon. Iluna begins stating the treaty's origins, hinting that she had not shared all information. She recalls the era when humans challenged Laficius, provoking thoughts of destruction against the kingdom. The treaty, yet active, prevents clash, ensuring humans and dragons do not disturb each other henceforth. Lilo accepts Yuki's conditions, vowing to uphold the treaty and protect his own family. Iluna stretches, urging Yuki to finish swiftly so they can head home jointly peacefully. Yuki and Iluna discuss prior treaties, ensuring they respect agreements with Laficios and other dragons. Yuki warns the landlord resolutely, threatening demise if similar events harm anyone again. He commands all staying prisoners brought to him, leaving the estate under strict supervision. Lilo reflects on the Demon Lord's terrifying power, hoping to never encounter Yuki again. The kingdom debates exploiting the haunted woods, prompting concern that an army might be sent. Yuki and Iluna consider how to handle the circumstance, discussing possibility strategies cautiously jointly. Yuki encounters various rescued girls, verifying he assisted them as Irina requested, ensuring their security. He inquires regarding their homes, learning most were captured while working, seeking a solution for them. Yuki explains that everyone seems to have a home, while Iluna notes his distinctive magic. Iluna suggests a straightforward solution, questioning Laficios to aid guide the rescued girls home. The dragons carry the girls securely, following Yuki's directions back to their respective homes. Those without a home are permitted to stay, ensuring all rescued girls are cared for. The girls express thanks, and Yuki and Iluna wave as everyone departs under the night heavens. Two girls remain behind, Layla and Eliuan, introducing themselves and sharing their names and races. They express thanks to Yuki and Iluna, providing to serve and help him willingly. Eliuan enthusiastically requests to stay, volunteering for chores and excitedly pledging loyalty to Fenrir. Eliuan confidently proclaims his devotion, sensing honored to serve Fenrir and leaving his village cheerfully. Yuki introduces himself and Mofrir to the girls, stating Laficios' appearance as a supreme dragon. Yuki tells Layla and Eliuan to rest, mentioning there's another job to handle tomorrow. The girls thank Yuki kindly, expressing their thanks for his protection and guidance. Iluna calls Laficios, guiding Yuki as they prepare to return the rescued girls home securely. The girls express thanks again, and Iluna admits Yuki's assistance assisted her significantly. Yuki recalls calming Iluna earlier, sensing slightly flustered as she jokingly reminds him of that instant. Iluna gestures to Yuki, beginning to explain her feelings and thoughts after their recent events. She shares how meeting Yuki has made her world vibrant, lively, and full of color. Iluna vows to stop Yuki from rushing recklessly, wanting to protect him and their world. She asks Yuki to aid her make her world even brighter, inviting him along. Iluna confronted Yuki, expressing comfort that he came to save her, though she scolded him for mishandling relationships with other allies. Yuki stated himself awkwardly while Lephysius appeared close, warning him not to involve additional individuals in the circumstance. Lephysius pressed Yuki for clarification, and he uneasily acknowledged that he only described a maid's duties to Illuna. Layla and she volunteered enthusiastically to serve Lord Fluffrier, showing willingness despite their own insecurities regarding performing duties correctly. Yuki directed his allies through chores and daily tasks, helping them adapt to the dungeon's routines while maintaining command. Yuki asked Layla regarding demon lords, inquisitive how humans view their leaders, while Layla stated the differences from human perspective. Layla explained that demon lords are pondered creatures whose bodies are reforged by labyrinths, startling Yuki with this distinctive insight. Layla employed a goblin example to show how a creature's powers shift, and Yuki acknowledged her deep understanding of dungeon mechanics. Yuki explored the dungeon's fresh prairie floor, impressed by its wide room and the possibilities for expanding his realm. Flying above the prairie, Yuki marveled at the dungeon's immense mechanism and heavens, appreciating the dungeon's complexity and freedom. Yuki intended to enhance the prairie by adding a stream, mountains, and sakura trees, improving the dungeon's landscape. He resolved to location a traditional Japanese ryokan, cautiously designing information to make the fresh region additional cozy. After finishing, Yuki relaxed in the bath, sensing satisfaction from shaping the dungeon and visualizing sharing it with everyone. Illuna reached abruptly, prompting Yuki to pause and acknowledge her appearance, astonished by her timing. Illuna asked Yuki to wash her hair, joining him in the bath, and he cheerfully consented, continuing his care for his allies. Yuki proposed having a picnic at the prairie with everyone, introducing the concept to Illuna throughout the bath. Illuna excitedly asked what a picnic was, while Yuki stated it involved eating and playing under the wide heavens. Lephysius appeared abruptly, questioning if she could join Yuki and Illuna in the bath. Yuki freaked slightly, unsure how to respond to Leffy's appearance and question, sensing flustered. Illuna assured Yuki, stating she only wished him to wash her hair, easing the tension and leaving him relieved. Layla relaxed in the bath while Yuki concentrated on clearing his mind, readying to care for his allies. Yuki washed Lephysius' hair, sensing uneasy but concentrating on making the experience pleasant for her. Lephysius grinned, teasing Yuki tenderly regarding his effort while ensuring he was not overexerted. Yuki became flustered by Lephysius' playful comments regarding her childlike look, struggling to respond appropriately. Meanwhile, Illuna scolded Yuki and Lephysius for staying too lengthy, reminding them to avoid catching colds while in the bath. Yuki, Illuna, and Lephysius relaxed in the hot springs, savoring the warmth and tranquil atmosphere jointly. Yuki asked Leffy regarding how folk receive titles, inquisitive regarding the mechanism beyond the dungeon world. Lephysius stated that titles are assigned based on major events and the judgment of an unseen watcher or deity. Yuki questioned whether any gods genuinely exist, reflecting on the explanations from Leffy and religious texts. The party viewed Yuki's condition screen, revealing his title, One Who Judges, and its impacts on attributes and sin detection. Yuki asked Lephysius regarding his titles, inquisitive regarding the significance of Supreme Dragon among his other accolades. Lephysius stated that he could conceal his attributes and titles at will, making only the Supreme Dragon title visible. Yuki recognized that Illuna might additionally have concealed abilities or titles, while Leffy chuckled, noting that others could match his strength in the coming. Lephysius predicted Yuki's lengthy lifespan, suggesting he could live various thousand years under correct conditions. She kept, stating that mystical demons like Yuki could live without sustenance, and even severed limbs could regrow over time. Yuki responded with surprise as Lephysius stated that he could live indefinitely, sustained by mystical particles and less slain. Lephysius contrasted her longevity to dragons, describing how her form adapts to mystical particles, ensuring a lengthy existence. She informed Yuki that as lengthy as he stayed by her side, he would never sense bored, no matter how lengthy he lived. Illuna, tired from the bath, dozed off while Yuki fretted regarding her sudden sleepiness. Yuki, sensing sleepy himself, attempted to encourage Illuna to stay awake a bit longer before bedtime, ensuring she rested securely. Yuki hesitantly assisted Illuna get dressed, while she was pressed to hurry and not take too lengthy. Yuki considered on Leffy's strict training, noting how tiring it could be, and admired the night heavens with the others. She asked Yuki why he remained behind, and Yuki prompted her of her condition as a horned sheep demon. Leela stated the traditions of her clan, emphasizing its interest and the uniqueness of Yuki as their lord. She acknowledged Yuki's intellect, revealing that she offered up hope of freedom once she became a slave, highlighting his leadership. Leela proposed using the opportunity to observe the labyrinth and learn additional regarding the demon lord race, emphasizing its value. She protested, refusing to reveal anything to Yuki, while Layla stated her wish to see the lord and labyrinth in natural states. Layla shifted the topic to she, questioning regarding her clan and origins, sharing understanding regarding the werewolf subspecies. She freaked when Layla noted the rumors regarding her past, fretted that secrets would be revealed. Layla assured she, understanding her wish to keep her identity concealed and showing respect for her privacy. She considered on how being a chief's daughter felt peculiar, expressing her embarrassment regarding expectations. Layla assured she, informing her that she is cute and easing her insecurities with a warm, helpful smile. As the night ended, Yuki and the allies resolved to go to bed, readying for their tasks the next day. Yuki strolled across wide land, leading Leficios, Iluna, Layla and Fluffrear. They readied for a picnic, thrilled, playful and cheerful jointly. Yuki and Iluna raced down a grassy slope on a sled, wind rushed past them, laughter echoed, pace thrilling, delight shared openly. Layla and Leficios observed enthusiastically, thrilled for their turn. Yuki set up another sled, anticipation constructed, everyone prepared for additional enjoyment. Yuki pushed the sled, Layla gripped tightly, grinning widely, momentum bore them faster down the hill. Enthusiasm, laughter and adventure filled the air. Layla and Leficios cried joyfully as the sled sped swiftly. Yuki trailed intently, ensuring security. The afternoon passed with bonding and joy. Yuki assured the girls, complimenting them jokingly. Layla and Leficios chuckled, savoring the ride's pace. Joy and enthusiasm filled the sunny afternoon. Yuki bore Leficios on his shoulders. Layla observed, astonished. The party kept playing energetically, sharing joyful moments, confidence and carefree laughter jointly. Layla insisted Yuki continue pushing the sled. Leficios grinned, joining the playful test. The wind rushed past them as pace rose swiftly. The sled flew wildly, bearing Yuki and Leficios. They tumbled slightly, floating briefly. Enthusiasm, thrill and laughter echoed across the field enthusiastically. Layla and Leficios experienced mystical wind boosts. Yuki attempted to keep control. They fell securely, drained and chuckling, bonding in enjoyment and friendship. Yuki and Leficios finished the mystical course. Leficios chuckled confidently, no longer scared. Yuki grinned, pleased with her advancement. Layla and Lu explored the picnic food. Leficios presented dishes made from uncommon rockbird meat. Everyone inspected the peculiar ingredients cautiously. Yuki stated the character of the food. The party pondered its taste and uniqueness. The landscape around them stayed tranquil and wide. Yuki revealed he had additionally readied sweets. Leficios and the others turned focus to the sugary treats, thrilled for the finishing touch. Leficios and Lu commended the sweets. Yuki observed cheerfully as everyone enjoyed the picnic. The party shared laughter and satisfaction jointly. Yuki observed Lu acting uneasy, addressing Lefi as the supreme dragon. Lefi sat steadily, savoring treats, while the others observed, intrigued by the peculiar formality. Yuki stated to Lu that Lefi was an old dragon. Lu's eyes widened in surprise, incapable to believe such a mighty being appeared so ordinary. Lu observed Lefi's playful and carefree conduct, recognizing that even a supreme dragon could be clumsy over treats. Lefi's friends assured him not to underestimate her. Lu and Layla discussed the past, recognizing Lefi's dominance over other dragons. Her authority had always been obvious, though overlooked by Lu. A close monster softly considered on Lu's ignorance, considering he had been too flustered before to notice Lefi's genuine condition among dragons. Yuki listened as Lu proposed his sister might additionally be involved. A cheerful girl proposed playing badminton jointly after their food. The little girl voiced joy, sensing astonished to be pampered by both Yuki, the demon lord, and Lefi, the supreme dragon, without reservation. Yuki acknowledged he was the weakest among the dungeon's leaders. Lu entered the girl in a contest of badminton, adding energy to the party. They readied to play badminton using a stick with a net, while Iruna volunteered to instruct the guidelines. The scene shifted to the distant Alicia Kingdom, a mighty realm known for artifact development and influence over neighboring lands. King Reed Gloria Alicia sat on his throne, resolutely forbidding any move regarding the dungeon, asserting his authority over the kingdom. Prince Ryuto Gloria Alicia challenged the decision, insisting that their kingdom's honor demanded an instant reply to the dungeon's intrusion. The king stated the damage caused by the dungeon was minor, and that full permission to intervene would not be granted. Prince Ryuto stressed the importance of the country's dignity and natural resources, pressing for decisive move despite the king's warnings. King Reed resolutely issued a regal decree, commanding the prince not to act, emphasizing the mysterious dangers and limits of the kingdom's artifacts. Prince Ryuto strolled determinedly through the castle, accepting the regal decree but yet sensing conflicted regarding the dungeon's intrusion. He and his allies discussed a strategy to act despite the king's command, believing the country's coming depended on decisive move. Ryuto called for troops to be assembled instantly, readying the kingdom for a possibility offensive operation. Meanwhile, Yuki and Luffy were observing a strategic chart, noticing sudden shifts that made Yuki tense and alert. Yuki and Luffy recognized that fresh intruders had accessed the dungeon, prompting concern regarding their intentions and possibility threat. The intruders cautiously advanced through the woods, their objective mysterious, while Yuki readied defenses in anticipation of clash. Luficius observed a huge force approaching the dungeon. Yuki reviewed his logs, and estimated nearly 500 troops were advancing, though their gear seemed frail. Luficius readied to confront them instantly. Yuki asked for her patience, revealing he had a plan to try and requested her assistance if it faltered. Yuki concentrated on his strategy, signaling Luficius to confidence him. He advanced deliberately, prepared to warn the intruders rather than assault recklessly. The troops camped close, unaware of Yuki's approach. Darkness fell as he observed them softly from the trees. Yuki observed their artifacts could weaken monsters. Confident in his powers, he advanced undetected, relying on his stealth talent to protect the dungeon. Yuki neared a tent softly, noticing someone advancing within. He stepped closer, alert to any sign of intrusion. A trooper saw him and froze, astonished by Yuki's sudden look. Yuki stayed serene, observing the man cautiously. Yuki revealed his appearance thoroughly, projecting authority. The trooper recognized the threat and raised no objections. Yuki asked if this man led the party. The trooper denied it, confessing he was not in charge. Yuki directed him to inform the actual leader accurately. He ensured the message would be obvious without escalating clash. Yuki confronted the trooper resolutely at the tent entrance, showing no intent to listen to excuses. He proclaimed the region his domain, warning that anyone staying would face deadly consequences. The trooper, astonished, asked why Yuki offered them a warning initial. Yuki stated eliminating intruders was troublesome and unnecessary. Returning to the dungeon, Yuki observed that most of the advancing forces declined to retreat despite reports. Luficius observed softly close. Luficius questioned Yuki's serene return. He stated he merely went to warn the foe, ensuring the circumstance stayed under control. Luficius waited anxiously, annoyed that Yuki came steadily instead of staying alert. Yuki showed Luficius the intruder details on his screen, stating he had granted her access to observe. He reviewed the dungeon's defensive systems, arranging to test traps on the troops who had accessed their domain. The dungeon deployed monitoring golems, transmitting visual details regarding the intruders' motions to Yuki for precise control. Meanwhile, the troops observed the sunrise, unaware of the traps and surveillance around them, leaving them exposed to Yuki's plan. The troops freaked, recognizing they were encircled. Yuki had set up the dungeon defenses cleverly. Disorder erupted as spiders appeared and fires spread, confusing the troops further. The troops yelled conflicting commands, incapable to understand the sudden threats around them. Luficius observed the scene, identifying the impact as a hallucination caused by Yuki's dungeon magic. The hallucination tree, Rauschgift bomb, released mana, projecting illusions that made the troops perceive foes everywhere, leaving them entirely disoriented. Yuki stated the hallucination tree trap to Luficius. Their formidable mana made them immune to its impacts. They discussed the troops' chances, acknowledging that mere traps wouldn't thoroughly defeat them, though Yuki stayed confident. Yuki referenced his ongoing board contest with Luficius, comparing plan and foresight to the circumstance at palm. The troops responded to the thinning mana, panicking as illusions and environmental traps disoriented them. Vines and dungeon obstacles ensnared the intruders, leaving them struggling and further proving Yuki's smart use of dungeon mechanics. A party of adventurers accessed the woods, bearing an artifact meant to weaken monsters. They freaked as they recognized the artifact had unpredictable impacts and sought a secure location to escape. Abruptly, the earth beneath them turned into a scorching swamp. The adventurers labored to move as heat and bubbling mud forced them into disorder. One of them, overwhelmed by dread, cried and rushed deeper into the woods, attempting to keep everyone away from him. Meanwhile, Yuki observed the aftermath in his dungeon, noting the trap had worked improved than expected. Luficius relaxed close, observing the test unfold. Yuki considered on the trap's success and resolved to continue refining his dungeon, while Luficius noted how little the night disturbed her rest. Yuki remarked on Luficius' laziness, while she jokingly prompted him to conserve his strength. Their bond strengthened through daily routines and silent moments. As dawn broke over the horizon, the two resolved to rest after another round of games, savoring a serene morning jointly in the dungeon. Elsewhere, in Alfira border town, Luficius confronted Knight Captain Gamdia Rustin at the trooper office, asserting authority and challenging his deeds. She informed the captain that his service was terminated, stating his cowardice had disqualified him from returning to the capital army. The captain recognized the command came from Prince Ryuto himself. leaving him stunned and compelled to accept his dismissal. In a tavern, the captain of the troops vented his frustration while others softly listened, recognizing the mass of faltered missions. He fretted that the lack of updates from the haunted woods would lead to additional unnecessary casualties, questioning the king's commands. Another trooper stated his own dismissal after fleeing a perilous monster, emphasizing the risks and blind greed driving the operation. The captain was stunned to hear that Ryuoto, the landlord, had intervened, while advisors attempted to serene the circumstance and strategy forward. Outside, subtle plots began to form, entwining emotions and strategies as fresh strategies softly set into motion. Yuki and Illuna set out for a morning stroll. The sunlight filtered through the trees as both felt the serene of the woods. Fluffer yawned and trailed behind them, his enormous scale making movements slower, while Lephesius adjusted her hat and kept watch. The party advanced deeper into the woods. Yuki gripped Illuna's palm while guiding Fluffer on a leash, ensuring everyone remained jointly. Lephesius remarked on the test of handling Fluffer. Yuki grinned, allowing her know her turn would come soon. Illuna chuckled, noting how managing even one Fluffer was tricky, and Yuki consented, savoring the straightforward outing with his allies. Yuki gripped Illuna's palm as they strolled. She looked inquisitive, questioning the guidelines of allowing Fluffer enjoy a correct stroll. Lephesius pondered the circumstance cautiously. She prompted everyone that pets should have room to move openly, reflecting on Fluffer's past independence. Yuki urged Fluffer to go to his favorite spot. Illuna cheered, glad to see him move with ease. Yuki assured Lephesius that Fluffer was smart and would not cause harm, even if he expanded too thrilled. Lephesius looked back, captivated by the serene woods and the care Yuki showed for his allies, appreciating the tranquil instant. Yuki, Illuna, and Lephesius kept their walk. Illuna enthusiastically trailed Fluffer's lead, pointing out the direction he proposed. Lephesius admired the immense cloud and enormous tree, impressed by the natural wonders around them. They strolled beneath the giant tree, discussing its age and the old woods that had stood for generations. A giant blossom caught Illuna's focus. Yuki cautioned them to stay back while they marveled at its scale. Fluffer, inquisitive and playful, neared the blossom, causing a little scare as its enormous petals advanced towards them, forming an instant of tension and enthusiasm. Yuki, Illuna, Lephesius, and Fluffer neared a fresh part of the woods, inquisitive regarding what lay forward. They found a serene pond encircled by trees, its surface shimmering under the sunlight. Illuna gasped in wonder at the beauty. Illuna commended Fluffer for leading them to such a concealed spot, hugging him cheerfully. Lephesius observed the dense mana in the surroundings, appreciating the mystical energy in the woods. Yuki observed the calmness of the pond. Waiting at the water's edge, Lephesius felt a pleasant surge of energy, savoring the tranquil instant and the mystical atmosphere of the pond. Yuki threw the disc, signaling Fluffer to catch it, initiating a playful instant in the clearing. Fluffer leaped into the air, advancing swiftly to catch the flying disc as Illuna and Lephesius observed. Illuna cheered, impressed by Fluffer's pace and talent, while Lephesius observed with mild amusement. Yuki directed Illuna on how to hold and throw the disc, encouraging her to try playing with Fluffer. Yuki assured Lephesius that it was secure to let Illuna join, emphasizing enjoyment and cautious supervision while they played jointly. Lephesius responded intensely to the board contest, astonished by how earnestly she and the others had competed. Yuki grinned at the instant, noticing Illuna's enthusiasm and Lephesius's playful competitiveness. The party strolled jointly through the woods, Fluffer leading the way, as Yuki proposed playing like this again in the coming, savoring the company and the serene of the woods. In the dungeon, Iruna is woken by cheerful Leffy. Her vivid energy encourages him to start the day cheerfully and actively. Leffy's older sister, Wane-chan, remains asleep for 17 years, while Iruna wordlessly watches, hoping she will awaken someday in the dungeon. Throughout breakfast, Iruna offers toys to Iruna. She observes his altered demeanor, unaware it's from staying up late with Leffy. Leffy comments on Iruna staying up late, agreeing his atmosphere feels distinct. They enjoy breakfast jointly, maintaining the dungeon's serene morning routine. Romi, the dungeon maid, brings breakfast. Her diligent care helps the dungeon function smoothly, starting the day with everyone working cooperatively. Yuki reviewed his condition panel after the fight. Layla observed his race had transformed into a mightier demon lord abruptly that day. While reviewing the race evolution explanation, Yuki recalled defeating numerous humans using dungeon traps, though his form yet felt unchanged later. Layla cautiously stated that demon lords transformed faster because their existence resembled monsters guarding the dungeon core from outside threats continually. Yuki became distracted observing Leffy sleep peacefully throughout breakfast. Layla apologized after noticing his focus drifting away from their discussion entirely. After checking the updated dungeon panel, Yuki recognized the dungeon itself would continue growing mightier jointly with his newly transformed powers. Yuki asked Leffy regarding race evolution, but the old dragon stated her races already stood at the strongest feasible level naturally. After noticing Leffy's level nearly reached 1000, Yuki recognized old dragons might evolve again only after numerous centuries passed gradually. Layla stated transformed monsters usually altered look dramatically. Yuki fretted uneasily after noticing some demon races even expanded perilous tentacles abruptly. Abruptly, huge black wings appeared behind Yuki's back. He instantly observed his fresh demon lord evolution had rose his bodily skills greatly. Leffy stared at Yuki's newly transformed look with sparkling eyes. The old dragon looked stunned, impressed, and strangely thrilled by his transformation. Leffy became thrilled after noticing Yuki's wings. She advanced closer instantly, while Yuki uneasily attempted stopping her inquisitive conduct and touching. Attempting to serene the circumstance, Leffy vowed Yuki he could touch her wings too if she touched his initial cautiously later. Leffy tenderly touched Yuki's black wings with admiration. Yuki relaxed slightly after noticing her praise their smooth and lovely look softly. While waiting jointly, Leffy kept appreciating Yuki's transformed wings intently. Yuki appreciated her shyly after noticing her genuine fascination and enthusiasm entirely. Yuki touched Leffy's wings cautiously and found they felt incredibly soft. Leffy blushed heavily while allowing him to continue touching tenderly. Yuki swiftly stopped touching Leffy's wing after noticing her trembling response. Both became flustered throughout the abruptly intimate instant jointly later entirely. Leffy avoided gazing directly at Yuki while calming herself down. Yuki wordlessly observed her, unsure how to continue the uncomfortable circumstance peacefully. Layla abruptly appeared and misunderstood their close interaction instantly. Flustered, Yuki hurriedly pulled away while Leffy froze in complete shock beside him. Attempting to shift the atmosphere, Yuki concentrated on the fresh Demon Lord panel. However, Leffy's wings' softness yet stayed plainly within his thoughts. After reviewing the structure facilities option, Yuki recognized he could eventually create a correct Demon Lord castle for the growing dungeon domain. Yuki became thrilled after discovering the structure mechanism. Using understanding from Minecraft, he confidently intended forming his own Demon Lord castle someday. After spending huge amounts of magic power, Yuki collapsed outside. Liu reached bearing supplies and became stunned noticing the drained dungeon master. Liu inspected the newly formed buildings cautiously and commended Yuki's construction abilities sincerely. The little structures already resembled a developing village region. Although glad noticing Liu's praise, Yuki acknowledged his mind felt entirely drained after overusing magic continuously throughout the extreme construction process earlier. Despite his exhaustion, Yuki declined stopping halfway. Resolved to surpass ordinary castles, he aimed to create an enormous mythic fortress for everyone. Liu cheerfully admired the miniature home Yuki formed with earth magic. However, she forgot finishing the laundry job he requested earlier entirely. Flustered, Liu attempted stating herself while bearing the model home confidently. She stayed astonished that Yuki personally formed such detailed structures magically. Yuki confidently stated he even colored the buildings using earth magic. Liu recognized his mystical skills entirely surpassed ordinary common magicians already. Inquisitive regarding his peculiar skills, Yuki asked whether his magic differed from ordinary magic. Liu instantly connected his powers to old origin magic. Liu revealed origin magic was nearly lost in modern society. Stunned, Yuki learned fewer than 100 folk could yet use it. Liu stated modern magic required chants and readied cores. However, uncommon demon folk could activate pure magic only through imagination and natural talent. After noticing Liu's explanation, Yuki eventually grasped demons possessed magic naturally from birth unlike humans, who required years of challenging mystical training. Recognizing how little he grasped regarding the world, Yuki pondered traveling outside the dungeon someday to learn additional valuable understanding personally. Later, Yuki neared Leffy while she rested comfortably. Astonished by his grave expression, Leffy instantly listened cautiously to his significant request later. Yuki asked Leffy regarding increasing mystical power beyond leveling up. Leffy became suspicious, wondering whether he intended using perilous forbidden magic techniques later. Leffy stated Yuki could increase mystical capacity by entirely exhausting his mana repeatedly. She additionally proposed training water magic control simultaneously for faster development. After noticing Leffy's advice, Yuki grinned gratefully and appreciated her sincerely. Leffy softly gripped his palm while sensing pleased helping him personally today. Leffy observed Yuki kindly after their conversation ended. Noticing his honest thanks made her abruptly glad and emotionally attached to him later entirely. Various days later, Yuki secretly observed Luffy sleeping peacefully again. Startled awake, Luffy instantly questioned his odd conduct within the silent chamber uneasily. While Luffy stretched sleepily on the bed, Yuki stared wordlessly with grave concentration. His peculiar expression made Luffy increasingly puzzled and uncomfortable abruptly. Soon later, Yuki appeared wearing shadowy demon armor confidently. Resolved to find fresh inspiration, he accessed an entirely fresh stage of experimentation and creativity. Yuki confidently readied another odd creation within the dungeon while Luffy listened cautiously beside him. He summoned his newest masterpiece confidently. The magic triggered instantly, and Luffy's Meek-2 appeared before them. The giant statue floated confidently while smoke covered the entire chamber. Yuki kept forming additional Luffy's versions without stopping. Luffy became stunned after noticing another perilous and brutal version abruptly appear close. Explosions filled the dungeon as multiple Luffy's statues appeared jointly. Luffy became flustered while Yuki stubbornly guarded his odd artistic creations. After exhausting themselves with disorder and explosions, Yuki and Luffy softly rested jointly outside. Both gradually forgot the original cause behind everything. Various days later, Yuki confidently announced that all arrangements within the dungeon were eventually complete. He confidently revealed another ambitious mystical project. Luffy and the others observed Yuki cautiously while discussing his odd conduct. Despite concerns, everyone stayed inquisitive regarding his enigmatic majestic creation. Yuki drank mystical recovery potions continuously while concentrating on maintaining the castle. Luffy remained beside him cautiously as his magic weakened swiftly. Yuki triggered the structure facilities with determination, causing the enormous mystical structure to appear. The dungeon shook violently from immense mystical energy. The castle kept consuming Yuki's magic faster than expected. Luffy swiftly supported him while he desperately maintained the castle's unsteady imagination. The enormous castle eventually appeared from the immense magic. Everyone observed wordlessly while the earth kept shaking from Yuki's completed creation. Yuki and the others stared upward in complete shock after noticing the gigantic castle. Even Luffy seemed astonished by the unbelievable scale. Vivid sunlight revealed the finished castle plainly. Enormous barriers, towers, and bridges encircled the structure, making it resemble a genuine demon lord fortress. Yuki collapsed emotionally after exhausting nearly all his magic power. Meanwhile, Luffy cheerfully admired the castle far beyond everyone's expectations. The party excitedly discussed their fresh home while appreciating the castle jointly. Although unfinished within, Yuki effectively formed their enormous dream residence. After some time, everyone began settling within the enormous castle. Yuki recognized the living areas stayed challenging to locate and organize correctly. The party explored distinct sections of the castle while readying fundamental necessities. Meanwhile, Yuki softly rested after exhausting himself forming the structure. Yuki became depressed after noticing the giant castle stayed mostly unused. The enormous room felt far too huge for their little party. Although fretted regarding the castle's impractical scale, Yuki convinced himself it yet represented an insignificant dream and guarded the dungeon from foes. Luffy comforted Yuki by praising the castle's beauty and magnificence. She honestly acknowledged the structure was huge, yet profoundly remarkable. While relaxing within the castle, Yuki abruptly observed Luffy approaching intently beside him. Her unexpected deeds instantly made him uneasy and puzzled. Luffy sat beside Yuki comfortably while teasing his flustered response. She softly remained near him, wanting him to relax after working tirelessly. Yuki considered on his tranquil existence within the dungeon. Because of Luffy and everyone else, his daily existence became enjoyable and meaningful. Yuki recognized Luffy was attempting to encourage him after his earlier disappointment. Luffy steadily stayed beside her partner with mild affection and assistance. Luffy softly comforted Yuki by staying close and pampering him kindly. Her affectionate deeds eventually assisted Yuki forget his worries regarding the castle. Luffy softly remained beside Yuki and comforted him kindly. Yuki eventually relaxed after noticing Luffy promised to always assistance his odd concepts. Iruna became jealous after noticing Luffy relaxing intently beside Yuki. Soon the others additionally assembled around him within the enormous castle hall. Outside, the gigantic castle stood confidently under the vivid heavens. The completed structure eventually became the symbol of Yuki's growing dungeon kingdom. Far away, various aristocrats secretly discussed military issues and growing political threat. Their faltered strategies gradually pushed the kingdom towards greater clash and alarm. The aristocrats fretted regarding losing assistance and confidence after continued failures. Eventually, they resolved to send mighty adventurers instead of deploying an enormous army. The aristocrats discussed using the church-guided heroes against coming threats. They secretly intended another perilous scheme while avoiding direct responsibility for failure. One noble confidently proposed bribing the church with huge rewards. He believed even saints would eventually act for enough money and political influence. Although fretted regarding funding and consequences, the aristocrats yet accepted the risky proposal. Their desperation gradually pushed them towards increasingly dishonest decisions and manipulation. Elsewhere, a lone girl cautiously strolled through the woods while staying alert. The silent surroundings made her uneasy as odd sounds echoed close. The girl abruptly became frightened after noticing brutal noises within the woods. Uneasily gripping her belongings, she cautiously readied for unexpected threat forward. Deep within the woods, the youthful hero Nell wandered solo with growing anxiety. She questioned why her challenging trip had become increasingly perilous and lonely. Back within the castle, Yuki kept wearing odd armor while experimenting solo. Luffy wordlessly observed his peculiar conduct with confusion and concern close. Yuki excitedly believed acting like a genuine demon lord would inspire him further. Luffy listened while finding his odd reasoning both amusing and ridiculous. Luffy proposed questioning Layla for correct advice regarding castle construction. She believed Layla grasped architecture and structure techniques far improved than Yuki himself. Yuki acknowledged he previously asked Layla for aid regarding the castle project. However, he stayed additional concentrated on mystical power than practical construction understanding. Yuki asked Luffy regarding differences between Demon Lord castles and human castles while showing her detailed miniature designs for coming improvements and expansions. Soon, Yuki confidently revealed another odd creation called Mofarir Meek 2. The mechanical animal appeared abruptly, startling Luffy with its peculiar look and functions. Yuki confidently stated the machine could not actually transform or dock jointly. Luffy stared wordlessly, plainly unconvinced by his ridiculous explanation and enthusiasm. Luffy instantly ruined the irritating machine with an enormous explosion. Yuki cried in shock after observing his newest masterpiece disappear instantly before his eyes. Yuki became entirely devastated after losing his precious creation so swiftly. He could not understand why Luffy ruined it over something so little and harmless. After calming down, Luffy apologized honestly for overreacting towards Yuki's invention. However, she yet urged him to create something far improved later. Yuki inspected the castle decorations while noting the strength and condition of heroes in this world. He was inquisitive regarding their skills and the tests they might pose. Opening the opening, Yuki spotted the monster girls assembled outside for tea. Layla, Illuna, and she appeared serene, unaware of the possibility threat approaching their home. Yuki stated that a hero had reached. The monster girls voiced interest and caution, readying themselves to avoid clash while observing intently. Layla stressed heroes were mighty and merciless. The girls recognized the need to respect their strength and act cautiously within the castle. Yuki advised caution, but permitted the girls to stay outside. They nodded, understanding his guidance, and braced for the hero's eventual approach. Lephysios accessed a shadowy cave, sensing the dungeon's power. She paused, recognizing the appearance of a demon lord within. Yuki provided a summary of the dangers, stating the monster's strength and the supreme dragon's domain. Lephysios absorbed each detail, readying for what lay forward. Stepping cautiously, Lephysios explored the dungeon's interior. She inspected the barriers and gates, mindful of traps or concealed defenses. Lephysios's heartbeat quickened as she confronted mysterious dangers. She stayed alert, thoroughly conscious of the dungeon's mysteries and feasible threats. Eventually, the castle appeared forward. Lephysios marveled at its grandeur, understanding the scale of the demon lord's domain and its formidable power. Yuki grinned broadly, proud of the response his castle inspired. Layla observed and jokingly pulled his cheek, questioning his enthusiasm. Layla asked if Yuki intended to harm the visiting girl. He assured her, showing no intention of killing anyone within his domain. Layla pondered the visitor's age and innocence. She resolved not to act aggressively, reasoning that it would be inappropriate to harm someone so youthful. Lephysios accessed the castle cautiously. Yuki stated that the castle's defenses would automatically protect against any threat, ensuring security. As Lephysios explored, she detected no monsters. She pondered if the defenses were actual or just Yuki's imagination, staying alert despite the serene. Lephysios confronted the training dummies in the castle hallway, swinging her blade while testing her abilities. Each strike hit with force, forming loud sounds that echoed. She paused, astonished. No hostility was detected, leaving her puzzled regarding the hostile strikes she had just witnessed. Lephysios strolled further along the hallway, noticing the familiar layout of the corridor. It seemed unchanged despite her motions, making her sense disoriented. The swords and dummies responded abruptly, advancing on their own. Lephysios recognized the castle's defenses were active, responding automatically to intruders. Overwhelmed by the unexpected disorder, Lepheisios labored to comprehend what was happening. Her scouting abilities faltered to detect any living appearance among the animated defenses. Lepheisios cried in surprise as a sudden monster appeared, catching her off guard. Yuki observed, amused by her reactions to the trap. The trap continued, leaving Lepheisios drained and bewildered. Yuki chuckled, noting how it mimicked the sensing of a demon lord in a contest. 3 wraith girls, Rei, Ru and Ru, appeared, each with distinctive mystical skills. Lepheisios observed them cautiously, readying for any unexpected assaults. Yuki stated the castle's haunted estate mode effectively concealed the wraiths. He admired the mechanism's effectiveness and the playful disorder it caused. The monster girls teased Yuki, who chuckled at the circumstance. Lepheisios stayed alert, understanding the castle's defense mechanism was both smart and unpredictable. Lepheisios crouched against the barrier, crying softly after the continued traps overwhelmed her. The castle's defenses proved unpredictable and stressful. Yuki and Illuna observed her distress. Illuna instantly offered to aid, while Yuki observed cautiously, unsure how finest to intervene. Lepheisios kept crying as she strolled down the hallway. Yuki attempted to reassure her, acknowledging her dread and exhaustion from the automated traps. Startled by sudden movement, Lepheisios froze. She was overwhelmed by both dread and confusion, unsure what was actual in the haunted castle. Yuki called out, trying to serene her. Lepheisios freaked, mistaking him for a ghost, illustrating the effectiveness and intensity of the castle's haunted estate mode. Lepheisios trembled as 3 miniature wraith girls floated above her. The castle's magic formed an eerie yet playful atmosphere. Yuki assured her, informing the wraith girls to move along. Lepheisios observed the monsters obeyed his commands, recognizing his control over the castle's defenses. Gathering courage, Lepheisios presented herself as the hero, Nell. She raised her blade cautiously, attempting to assert her appearance. Yuki steadily stated that his deeds were not hostile. Lepheisios' surprise turned to confusion as she processed the circumstance. Yuki prompted her to serene down and resume her tasks. Lepheisios hesitantly accepted, yet shaken by the castle's defenses and mystical illusions. Lepheisios confronted Yuki, dreading he might assault others again. She demanded assurance, recalling his past battles and brutal deeds. Yuki steadily asked her perspective and whether she assumed his deeds before understanding him. Lepheisios hesitated, uncertain of his genuine intentions. He stated he never started fights and only targeted his foes. Lepheisios processed this, struggling to believe someone so mighty could act justly. Lepheisios uneasily asked if Yuki would harm her too. He dismissed her dread, calling her a kid, and assured her of no threat. Lepheisios protested being called a brat, but Yuki strolled away, emphasizing practical matters and leaving her with a mix of comfort and frustration. Lepheisios confessed her knees were frail, and asked Yuki for aid, showing exhaustion from navigating the castle's defenses. She stepped into a serene bath region, taking an instant to relax and reflect on recent events within the castle. Lepheisios looked around, sensing calmer and noticing the silent beauty of the bath's surroundings. She questioned why she came, lost and considered while soaking, attempting to regain composure and clarity. The sound of footsteps signaled someone approaching. Lepheisios' serene was interrupted, reminding her that the castle's tests were never thoroughly behind her. Yuki welcomed Iruna to stay in his dungeon for the night. She hesitated but trusted the demon lord's care. Iruna softly observed Yuki, recognizing he never saw her as a foe. Her scouting talent offered no alerts. She explored the dungeon's interior, recognizing familiar connections. The serene environment and Yuki's serene character eased her nerves. Iruna verified she was secure. The youthful girl stated Oni-chan had rescued her, showing loyalty and protective bonds. Iruna considered on Oni-chan's compassion and playful moments. She grinned, appreciating both his cool and adorable sides. Iruna hesitated, noticing Yuki's peculiar focus. She pondered regarding the rumors, questioning if the demon lord's conduct towards girls was odd. Iruna attempted to understand Yuki. Despite his quirks, she recognized his deeds were ordinary for him and not harmful at all. Yuki stated his intentions. He wished to ask regarding humans and other matters, cautiously avoiding any misunderstanding or clash. A mighty woman appeared, questioning Yuki regarding summoning additional girls. The tension rose, and Iruna observed cautiously, sensing the test. Yuki explained the circumstance, proving innocence. Iruna observed the hero's bravery and Yuki's composure, sensing comfort and confidence in both. Yuki assisted Iruna after her bath. Lalela and the maid ensured her clothes were prepared. Everyone readied for the next day. Yuki insisted on hosting the visiting hero. The woman protested, but he resolutely maintained that the hero would stay securely with him. The next morning, Yuki questioned the hero regarding what she had heard regarding the demon. He listened attentively, showing patience and care. The hero stated the church had directed her to defeat a demon. Yuki advised her to be skeptical and think cautiously. The hero verified the church's position, not the army. Yuki observed the source and intended to handle the circumstance wisely. Iruna voiced concern regarding the hero's strategy to confront a mighty figure. Yuki stated that outcomes depended on coming deeds. Yuki assured her, stating he would protect his calm. Iruna recognized his determination and sense of responsibility towards others. Yuki considered that he only retaliates when struck. Iruna observed his serene character, unsure of the full truth yet. The hero appreciated Yuki's hospitality, acknowledging that the girls acted from their own beliefs. Breakfast and compassion highlighted his character. The hero questioned her goal, recognizing she trailed others' commands blindly. She doubted her position, wondering if she genuinely deserved to be called a hero. Iruna observed Yuki seemed distracted at the table. She asked if something was on his mind, sensing interest and caution. She questioned Yuki regarding rumors regarding his conduct. Yuki was stunned and denied any such reputation, stating his genuine intentions. Iruna pressed further, questioning if he treated all girls like Iruna. Yuki explained that she was like a little sister to him. Yuki considered on Lefi, noting she was distinct from Iruna. He stated that he treated each person according to their character. Iruna grinned tenderly, admitting she required to see his deeds firsthand to understand. She recognized Yuki's honesty and protective character plainly. Yuki pondered the source of the infiltration. He pondered the army and church, analyzing the motives behind the hero's deeds. He recognized the commands likely came from individuals with influence. Yuki resolved it was additional productive to ask the hero directly. Yuki reached at the town excitedly, eager to continue his investigation. He raised his arms, signaling his readiness to explore. Luffy cautioned the hero to be cautious of Yuki's exuberant personality. Iruna observed uneasily, observing Yuki's unpredictable energy. Yuki intended to enjoy sightseeing while seeking for details. Everyone readied to explore the castle and surrounding areas with him. Yuki was stopped at a checkpoint by the church. The hero and her allies accompanied him, showing identification and cooperation. The guards recognized the distinctive sigil. They swiftly readied temporary IDs, allowing secure passage for the party through the checkpoint. Iruna stated to Yuki that the hero had a distinctive pass readied by the church. The process ensured smooth travel. Yuki assured everyone that everything was fine. Lefi and Iruna verified understanding, helping maintain serene while advancing through the city. Yuki excitedly began sightseeing while seeking for details. Everyone trailed, savoring the exploration of the town and its bustling roads. Yuki saw a variety of food displayed and proposed they have a food. Everyone readied to enjoy the spread jointly. Strolling through the town, Yuki and Lefi observed the delicious aroma of a shop. Iruna trailed, observing their enthusiasm. Yuki remarked on the taste of Lefi's cooking, comparing it to Layla's. Lefi enjoyed the food while blending in. Lefi proposed hiding her horns and tail to appear ordinary. Yuki considered regarding the difficulties and dangers of losing limbs. The party observed a crowd gathering close. Yuki neared with interest, eager to see what event was taking location. Yuki observed magic being employed in the crowd. Lefi observed alongside him, jumping and attempting to see over the gathering. Lefi climbed onto Yuki's shoulders, expressing enthusiasm. Yuki responded uneasily while she teased him, savoring the view from above. Iruna observed Yuki's response and scolded him, insisting he control his gaze. Yuki embarrassedly attempted to explain his innocence. Iruna observed Lefi and Yuki interacting. She recognized the two had a playful dynamic and got along very well jointly. Yuki proposed they visit the guild after the event. Everyone consented, readying to continue their day of sightseeing and exploration. Yuki pondered adventurer guild visits cautiously. Iluna stated adventurers frequently battle monsters. Yuki recognized being a demon lord made him a possibility target. Lefi stated adventurers additionally served as bodyguards or herb gatherers. Numerous didn't assault other races, giving Yuki cautious reassurance regarding interactions. Strolling through the roads, Yuki, Iluna and Lefi observed past adventurers assaulting mistakenly. They resolved restraint over retaliation prevented unnecessary clash. At the guild, the receptionist welcomed them politely. Lefi requested registration. Yuki and Iluna readied the forms cautiously, ensuring correct guild enrollment. Yuki verified backgrounds to the guild clerk. Iluna felt assured. Jointly they officially became adventurers, prepared for tests and coming quests. Yuki asked Lefi to fill the forms, as old letters were challenging. Lefi consented to help, guiding them through registration. The clerk asked for their full names. Yuki wrote his. Lefi offered hers. Forms readied cautiously for correct registration. The clerk revealed their classes. Yuki, Demon Lord of Judgment. Lefi, Supreme Dragon. They were astonished, concerned regarding possibility complications. The clerk stated classes defined fight roles. Non-combatant roles could additionally be selected. Yuki hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Yuki pondered a non-combatant position, disguising his condition like Leffy. They chose luggage carrier, officially accessing the guild cautiously. Leffy fretted regarding offensive abilities. Yuki assigned her class as magician. Leffy consented, noting she couldn't hold arms, relying on magic. Yuki initially chose swordsman, but acknowledged reliance on magic. Leffy verified his offensive abilities, ensuring registration considered their genuine skills accurately. Illuna revealed her primary talent, breath. Yuki and Leffy listened cautiously, understanding her skill could influence battle and guild recognition. Illuna stated she could shoot mighty beams from her mouth. Yuki voiced enthusiasm, impressed by her destructive capacity, cautious of possibility damage. The guild clerk scanned Yuki's palm on the magic device. Registration completed, verifying classes and skills officially for coming guild activities. Yuki verified registration completion. He gripped the ID plate, warning Leffy not to lose it. Their guild condition was official. Yuki finished swiftly and stated registration simplicity to Leffy. The receptionist provided fundamental adventurer guidance, easing them into guild procedures. With the ID, Yuki and Leffy could officially enter towns. Leffy voiced thanks, while Illuna stayed sleepy, adjusting to the process. Yuki asked if object box use was permitted. Leffy stated storage magic existed, rarely employed, but permitted. Yuki nodded, relieved. Yuki offered to pay for monster supplies himself. He stated the guild bought supplies, backing adventures without overburdening allies. Yuki obtained the official ID plate from the guild. He cautioned Leffy not to lose it, making their registration last. The receptionist stated guild registration was straightforward. Yuki observed ease. Leffy listened. They obtained a brief introduction to adventurer responsibilities. With the ID, Yuki and Leffy could officially enter towns. They appreciated the clerk, while Illuna stayed slightly sleepy. Yuki asked regarding using storage magic. Leffy stated it existed for uncommon cases, allowing them to manage objects securely throughout adventures. Yuki contrasted monster loot before and after sale. He bought food using monster earnings, showing the party their profitable adventure outcome. Leffy stated some folk have difficulty circulating magic. Distinctive IDs exist for them. Yuki and Leffy pondered this distinctive aspect of town. The Ripple IDs show magic element affinities. Yuki and Leffy recognize the town and capital require these for adventurer recognition. Yuki learned Leffy's finest element was fire. She stated limited versatility, mainly for burning objects. Yuki nodded, understanding her distinctive abilities. Yuki commended Leffy's fire magic, noting warmth and beauty in its impact. Leffy grinned, appreciating his recognition and encouragement. Yuki and Leffy strolled side by side, their bond strengthened through registration and mutual respect, readying for adventures jointly in the world. Yuki, Leffy, and Illuna observed troublesome folk approaching. Leffy detected tension. Yuki readied cautiously, conscious of possibility clash forward in the road. The party stood firm in the road. Their allies supported them, prepared for any test. Shadows of assailants loomed ominously close. Hostile humans confronted Yuki and allies. They cautioned against pointing arms. Yuki considered on past lessons, understanding retreat might sometimes be safest. Yuki argued he had overcame formidable monsters and sold supplies. Assailants doubted him, questioning his capability against perilous foes in the town. Yuki found a mighty human foe named Dorga. His attributes and skills astonished Yuki, revealing the actual threat of the surrounding city. Yuki pondered eliminating assailants using the object box. He assessed their strength. Most were frail hoodlums, but one appeared exceptionally perilous. Yuki wished to avoid trouble and continue sightseeing. He intended to act peacefully, conscious that Leffy and Illuna were pondered monsters. Dorga confronted them, revealing Yuki's magic device exposed them. He cautioned a demon causing harm would trigger troops to intervene instantly. Dorga demanded money and women to remain silent. He remarked on Leffy's look, suggesting inappropriate deeds. Yuki assessed their options cautiously. Illuna stayed silent while Yuki considered. The party confronted a moral dilemma and threat. They braced themselves for the humans' intentions. Illuna cried in surprise. Yuki observed, evaluating the circumstance cautiously. Assailants' intimidation began escalating, requiring cautious reply from the party instantly. Dorga responded angrily at Yuki's words, stunned by his defiance. Yuki stayed composed, readying psychologically for the clash with this mighty human. Dorga yelled at Illuna, calling her my woman. She blushed angrily and shielded herself, refusing to yield to the threat forcefully. Illuna struck the assailants with precise force. Yuki and Leffy observed, impressed, as she shielded them effectively, neutralizing the threat entirely. The assailants were overcame, lying on the earth. Yuki, Leffy, and Illuna stayed waiting, victorious, demonstrating teamwork and strength against human aggressors. Dorga appeared threatening, wielding his enormous axe. He cautioned Yuki and allies that they would regret provoking him, readying for brutal clash. Dorga's attributes were revealed. Level 39, Advanced Axe Trooper, extremely formidable and perilous. Yuki and Leffy assessed the threat cautiously, calculating risks. The axe, called Demon Sword, bore a shadowy history. Yuki observed, noting its threat and possibility to raise Dorga's skills further. Yuki readied to demonstrate his abilities. Leffy and Illuna observed, concerned. Yuki's confidence indicated he had a strategy to handle the mighty armament. Nell inspected the enormous magic sword gripped by the older warrior. The armament radiated immense power, far beyond anything she had seen before. Demon Lord Yuki appeared abruptly, a confident smile on his face. He readied to reveal an armament concealed up his sleeve, startling Nell and the others. Yuki lifted the colossal fortress destroyer, its pitch-black surface gleaming. Its scale and mass astonished everyone, dwarfing conventional magic swords. The old warrior swung his blade with force, testing Yuki's fresh armament. The sword's bodily might was unmatched, designed for strength solo. Yuki charged at the warrior, demonstrating that sheer power outweighed magic enhancements. The clash echoed through the roads as talent encountered raw strength. Yuki swung the enormous fortress destroyer against the older warrior's sword. Sparks flew as the two arms clashed, each strike shaking the cobblestone road. The warrior counterattacked with a heavy axe, forcing Yuki to adjust his stance. He relied purely on strength and accuracy, ignoring mystical enhancements. Their arms collided repeatedly, forming an unceasing barrage. Both fighters strained under the impact, demonstrating raw power and stamina against each other. Yuki observed smoke rising around the battlefield. A sudden distraction covered the road, providing a chance to shift plan. The smoke spread, concealing Yuki from his opponent. He stayed alert, prepared to strike while staying unseen, turning the battle in his favor. The older warrior struck fiercely, shouting at Yuki. Smoke and dust swirled around them as the fight intensified. Yuki's eyes glowed with power. He concentrated on the flow of the foe's assaults, anticipating each move with accuracy. Using his magic eyes, Yuki predicted the warrior's strike. His fortress destroyer pierced the opponent's defenses smoothly. The old warrior fell back, stunned. Yuki stayed serene, gripping his enormous blade without any strain. Nell and the other allies observed softly. Yuki turned towards them, his fight finished, showing his strength and control over the battle. Yuki cautioned his allies of his possibility berserk state. He requested restraint if he lost control throughout fight. Nell and the others observed cautiously. Yuki neared the shadowy armament, understanding its threat, while maintaining focus and serene. He sat softly, gripping the armament. Shadows and mystical energy swirled around him, the blade resonating with his power. The negative emotions from fallen foes encircled him. Words of hate, sorrow, and pain echoed, attempting to invade his mind. Yuki shut out the voices, asserting control over the blade. He claimed dominance, showing he was master of the battlefield and the armament. Yuki raised the shadowy armament, shouting that only he could wield it. His determination radiated outward, overpowering all negative influences. Nell inspected the armament, arranging to reforge it later into something mightier, showing cautious focus to Yuki's tools. Nell asked if Yuki was unharmed within. He assured her, showing his control over emotions and his power in fight. Another ally verified that Yuki was unaffected by curses or mystical influence. Calm came as the tension eased. Nell teased Yuki regarding his rage. Yuki grinned, slightly flustered, signaling the fight's end and a serene resolution among the party. Yuki appeared flustered after talking out, glancing at the ally beside him. The party acknowledged his words with silent affirmation. He apologized for his statement, stating his intent had been to reassure his allies throughout the battle. Nell touched Yuki's face tenderly, informing him not to apologize, and showing that his words had made her genuinely glad. Yuki looked flustered, suggesting they move on. The allies strolled jointly, sharing a lighter, serene instant after the fight. The party kept down the road. The city buildings loomed overhead, signaling the end of the clash and the return to daily existence. City guards appeared, shouting commands. They demanded obedience, threatening to snack Yuki and his allies as rebels if they declined. Nell, Yuki, and the others stood wordlessly, astonished by the sudden clash. They assessed the circumstance, readied for whatever move might be necessary. Yuki encounters a party of folk lying unconscious in the alley. He raises his palms, stating he was only defending himself from thieves. The city guards arrive. The chief recognizes that Yuki is truthful. They identify the fallen as criminals with prior logs. The guards apologize for troubling Yuki and offer to guide him to the governor's estate. Yuki remains serene and cooperative, ready for the next step. Lefasius walks alongside Yuki, expressing her preference for a straightforward food before official matters. They approach the majestic estate jointly. Within the estate, Yuki meets the governor. The official greeting signals the start of significant negotiations, while Yuki remains composed. The governor holds a dagger, trembling in dread. He pleads for his citizens' security, expecting vengeance, but Yuki remains serene, signaling a discussion rather than violence. Yuki explains that he came to investigate, not to harm. The governor recognizes Yuki has no intention of unknown killings, easing his tension. Yuki questions the governor regarding who secretly controls the king, aiming to uncover the genuine power behind the country's unrest. Yuki explains the top echelon's skill to manipulate armies and the church, clarifying the stakes of political maneuvering. She, the sacred knight, introduces herself as the hero of the present generation, formalizing their goal in the estate. She explains how she attempted to subjugate a target but was overcame. The governor is astonished and questions why a hero accompanies a demon lord. She and Yuki clarify they came to verify facts, not act on personal vengeance. The governor acknowledges the hardships they confronted and contemplates the peculiar circumstance. Yuki asks who is causing all the turmoil. The governor angrily clenches his fist, annoyed by the country's concealed power struggles. The governor admits he cannot reveal the genuine instigators, maintaining secrecy despite pressure. Abruptly, Yuki's mystical aura flares, startling the governor and she, emphasizing his power and appearance. Yuki threatens the governor, suggesting he could destroy the city to get answers. The governor remains composed, refusing to endanger his folk. The governor declares Yuki worthless to him, indicating the conversation has reached a stalemate. Yuki absorbs the statement steadily, readying for the next step. Yuki and Lefasius prepare to leave, deciding to take a break and get some food after the tense negotiation. The governor wordlessly watches them leave. Lefasius excitedly thinks regarding skewered meat, while Yuki strategies sightseeing before returning. She sets up the next meeting, reminding Yuki to meet in front of the governor's estate tomorrow to continue their investigation. She and the governor reflect on Yuki's deeds. She notes his power is exceptional, yet he remains serene and non-hostile. Yuki's skills are shown to be protective rather than destructive. He uses his strength to safeguard himself and those around him. She finds it hard to believe someone like Yuki could be the dreaded demon lord, given his restraint and sense of justice. The governor eventually reveals the instigator behind recent conflicts, Prince Ryuto, who aims to conquer the Haunted Woods. She is stunned by the revelation. The Haunted Woods holds untapped resources, motivating the prince's ambitions and setting upcoming tests for Yuki and allies. She and the governor discuss the aristocrats' growing influence. The governor explains that even the upper army echelons cannot stop them, and questions if the king is conscious. The king, portrayed solo in the throne chamber, is described as caring but unaware of others' ill intentions, making him a mediocre ruler in political affairs. The governor expresses frustration at the lack of awareness regarding threats. She strategies to consult the church's sacred knights to ensure correct guidance for the kingdom. Scenes shift to the city roads. Citizens move regarding while Yuki and Lefasius prepare to continue their investigation. Yuki explains the prince's manipulations plainly. An wicked-ear dungeon monster is revealed, capable to relay details to the dungeon master, indicating Yuki's monitoring and intelligence network. Yuki walks through the market with Lefasius, showing her the 27 secret devices he has collected. Lefasius is impressed but mostly interested in the treats. Yuki contemplates the prince, recognizing that assaulting him directly could spark a full-scale war due to heavy city defenses and political implications. He decides that even if war breaks out, Lefasius's appearance ensures their security. Yuki cautiously considers strategies to protect his allies. Lefasius relaxes in the dungeon, savoring leisure time and treats, reflecting Yuki's intention for her to have a tranquil existence. Yuki resolves to protect the city with his own power, prioritizing everyone's daily existence and avoiding unnecessary clash, even if it means personal sacrifice. Yuki contemplates what he should do next, weighing his options cautiously. His determination to act responsibly is obvious. Lefasius offers to aid Yuki finish his food, showing her helpful and mild character. Yuki acknowledges her appearance wordlessly. Strolling through the roads, Yuki wordlessly resolves to protect the tranquil lives of the citizens, rejecting external pressures or temptations. The party is confronted by a city guard who recognizes Yuki. His identity as a demon lord begins to stir shock and dread. The guard's response highlights Yuki's growing reputation. Yuki remains composed, strengthening his intent to safeguard the city without unnecessary clash. Yuki is confronted by a city guard who demands to know his goal. Yuki swiftly signals for silence, maintaining serene composure. Yuki explains that he merely wishes to have a little discussion with the nearby governor, maintaining his intentions tranquil and concentrated. She reacts with surprise, recognizing Yuki did not inform her regarding this strategy, highlighting his independent approach while yet including his allies in the operation. Yuki and Leffy reached at a silent inn after traveling through the town. They admired the structure but longed for the comfort of their own home. Yuki grinned, considering regarding the existence they shared in the dungeon. That night, Yuki and Leffy collapsed onto the bed, drained. The food was satisfying, but the single bed left them cramped. Both wordlessly wished for additional room as they rested. The next day, Yuki strolled through the city roads with Leffy. He waved at familiar faces and readied to visit an significant location. They reached the governor's estate, where officials awaited. Yuki observed someone significant behind the gates, anticipating the meeting. Within, Yuki discussed the cursed armament with the governor. Information were exchanged cautiously, revealing the next test they would face jointly. Yuki inspected the cursed armament cautiously, lifting it to understand its strength. He inspected its edges and shape, inquisitive regarding its power and past owner. The governor and guards responded with alarm as Yuki gripped the armament. They raised their spears, fearful of its perilous reputation, shouting for caution. Yuki assured them he had tamed the cursed armament. The governor looked stunned and uneasy, questioning Yuki to put it away for security. Yuki considered on Leffy's earlier interaction with the armament. He pondered how their distinctive skills made handling it feasible while others would struggle. The governor assessed the armament's impacts. Its power could boost Yuki's experience and skills beyond ordinary limits, making it far mightier than ordinary humans could wield. Yuki stated the cursed armament's past to the governor. He observed it had been partially dormant, and its previous owner had not employed it for lengthy. The governor cautioned Yuki to avoid causing trouble. He stressed maintaining command and pressed caution in all interactions. Yuki insisted he would explore the city despite the warning. The governor stayed skeptical but accepted his decision, acknowledging his duty. Nell cheered for the food vendors in the city, declaring she would protect their work. Leffy and Yuki observed, amused. A fresh ally kept an eye on them, unfamiliar with the city. She resolved to guide Yuki and the others through the roads. Yuki and Leffy explored the city, eager to visit an armament shop and bookstore. They discussed their preferences for sweets and meals while strolling. The shop's interior displayed numerous arms neatly arranged. A guard kept watch, ensuring the merchandise stayed protected. Yuki observed the shop's layout, noting the elevated grade storage and cautious organization. He intended how to navigate through it efficiently. Thrilled, Yuki recognized the shop offered top-tier equipment even knights employed. He anticipated acquiring formidable objects for coming adventures. Yuki located the discounted section and began analyzing the objects. He assessed grade with his abilities, comparing them for the finest possibility upgrades. Yuki lifted a blade from the shelves, inspecting its shape. He observed its distinctive shape and imagined how it could be reforged for greater power. The blade revealed itself as part of the old armament series. Yuki read its description, astonished by the blade's mythic history and immeasurable grade. Thrilled, Yuki pondered using other arms as supplies to enhance it. Leffy observed, impressed by his inventive considering and possibility for forming something spectacular. Yuki asked Leffy if she wished anything. He explored options to combine supplies, readying to craft a mighty fresh armament. Leffy interrupted, insisting food instead of arms. Yuki chuckled and kept his work, while Leffy prompted him of their ongoing adventures and errands throughout the city. Yuki readied to visit the next place, calling Nell to follow him as they kept their city exploration. Nell asked if she could look around additional. Yuki tenderly urged her to come along, managing her interest with patience. Yuki passed money to Leffy to satisfy her appetite. With her crowded, he could eventually focus on investigating the city and its shops. He observed the creaking of an entryway as he accessed a fresh region, alert and cautious regarding his surroundings. Yuki reached at a bookstore. He inspected the interior cautiously, ready to browse the shelves and find objects valuable for their trip. Yuki stepped into the bookstore, observing the shelves filled with books. He observed the formidable scent of paper and the popularity of books in this world. He found a book on the basics of magic circuits. Yuki recognized he required to improve his talent to rely less on the magic transfer method. Thrilled, he imagined forming an armament with multiple enchantments. His enthusiasm expanded as he pictured combining impacts like paralyze, poison, burn, sleep and freeze. Yuki enthusiastically explored additional books, thrilled to learn and expand his mystical understanding. He reviewed diligently, prepared for experimentation. Using his talent, he could read the texts but labored to thoroughly understand them. He stayed resolved to master the understanding within the books. Yuki left the bookstore bearing his purchases, resolved to study magic and arms. His passion stayed formidable despite the tests he confronted. He employed a tracking tool to locate Leffy, discovering she was close. Yuki trailed her through the roads to stay close. In the city square, Leffy and Nell interacted with townspeople. Yuki observed the scene cautiously, maintaining an eye on possibility dangers. Two townspeople neared, inviting them to join a food. Yuki observed the welcoming gesture while considering their security and next steps. Abruptly, Yuki detected threat. His urges cried that someone was in trouble, compelling him to act swiftly to save them. Yuki stood in the town square, guarding his allies Nell and Illuna from unwelcome focus. He kept a serene watch as townsfolk passed by, ensuring no one bothered them. Illuna and Nell greeted Yuki with delight, providing him a generous portion of meat. Their cheerful smiles considered comfort and thanks for his return. Yuki accepted the food and assessed the circumstance. He urged Nell to follow him, while townsfolk lingered, uncertain of his appearance. They advanced cautiously through the roads, Yuki checking that nothing menaced them. His vigilance kept the party secure. As they strolled onward, Yuki prompted them of the importance of appreciation and thoughtfulness, wordlessly securing both their security and joy for the trip forward. Nell trailed Yuki through the city roads, thanking him for his guidance. Yuki assured her, stating he handled such situations cautiously out of practice. Yuki considered on lessons from his previous existence while questioning Nell to guide him to a fine restaurant. Leffy accompanied them, yet enthusiastic despite already eating. In the crowded restaurant, Nell and Illuna observed as Yuki marveled at the abundance of food. The party was astonished at how much they could eat. Yuki and Leffy dug into the food with appetite and delight. He observed differences in mana density, showing his awareness of the world's magic. Illuna remarked on Yuki's constant alertness, observing how his form compensated for past struggles. The party shared a silent instant, savoring both food and camaraderie. Yuki and Leffy sat at the table, comparing the city's mana to other places. Leffy jokingly teased Yuki for being insensitive, while he concentrated on understanding the energy required to maintain his demon lord form. Yuki savored a huge burger, considering regarding its energy value and commenting on the taste. Nell prompted him to pay focus to other information while savoring their food. Nell shared details regarding previous occurrences, noting cases similar to their present circumstance. Yuki listened cautiously, processing the information. They discussed the possibility of multiple cursed demon sword owners. Nell cautiously pondered Yuki's questions, evaluating the likelihood of such events. Yuki considered on cases where folk abruptly went brutal or destructive. The party stayed thoughtful, recognizing the growing importance of understanding these perilous patterns. Nell stated to Yuki that incidents involving sudden violence had surged recently. Yuki listened while considering the increasing disorder and how it related to the demon sword. Yuki inspected the picture of the demon sword, understanding it was connected to the surge of brutal events in the city. Observing the city guards and commotion through an opening, Yuki recognized the city's noise, considered the unrest caused by these enigmatic events. He contemplated that someone might be spreading forces causing folk to lose control, similar to the impacts of the demon sword. Yuki assured Nell and Illuna, warning them to be cautious while sightseeing. The party acknowledged the threat, readying for the uncertain threats forward. Leffy ate her food with gusto, while Yuki and Nell observed. Yuki observed the threat if Leffy encountered strangers and relayed warnings from others. Leffy confidently stated she could handle even a Venom King huge snake, despite the threatening name. Yuki and Nell exchanged astonished glances. Yuki asked regarding sightseeing strategies for the evening. Nell inquired if any places stayed to explore, inquisitive regarding the city. Nell stated the city wasn't a tourist destination but crowded due to adventurers. The party pondered where to go next. Outside the city barriers, Yuki, Nell, and Leffy confronted the wide landscape. Yuki's expression hardened as he readied for possibility threats beyond the barriers. The Adventurers Guild displayed quests, including giant spider and orc subjugation. Yuki readied to test his strength against these tests. Yuki assured Nell, stating that the monsters were frail. He grinned confidently, eager to begin the job while Leffy observed wordlessly. He advised caution, noting the monsters normally advanced in groups. Nell and Leffy listened cautiously as Yuki intended their approach. Leffy demonstrated her strength, striking Yuki to show her power. Yuki acknowledged her talent and the appearance of close foes. Goblins appeared from the trees, but Yuki spotted them easily. The party readied to confront the threat, prepared to take on the guild quest jointly. Leffy readied her magic, summoning fire with focus. She readied to unleash her strength on the close foes. Yuki freaked slightly, warning Leffy to avoid environmental destruction. The party stayed cautious as they balanced power with control. Yuki demonstrated his own talent by throwing an elevated pressure water ball, similar to his water dragon assault. The woods shook from the impact. The assault left a huge crater in the landscape, showing the power both Yuki and Leffy wielded. Yuki, Leffy, and Nell stared at the aftermath, stunned by the sheer force of their skills and the scale of destruction they could create. Yuki stated the mechanics of his water dragon assault, describing how pressure could cause an explosion if impacted externally. Nell asked Leffy if she was a formidable magic user. Leffy confidently claimed she could easily destroy a human city without magic, astonishing Nell. Leffy revealed she was an old dragon, startling Nell with her genuine character as a supreme dragon and the strongest among dragon variations. Yuki explained Leffy's personality, noting her brat-like demeanor and distinctive virtues, which stated her conduct despite her immense power. Nell responded with shock, recognizing that Leffy, a supreme dragon, was taking move alongside Yuki. The party stared in awe at her genuine identity and strength. Yuki and Leffy confronted each other, prepared to take move. Leffy offered to take on a battle in Yuki's location, startling him. Yuki gripped up a lollipop, using it in a playful gesture. Leffy chased him with determination, forming a light-hearted instant, despite prior tension. Yuki assured Leffy that everything would be fine, encouraging her to rest while he handled the tests forward. Leffy declined to let Yuki protect her solo, showing her independent and stubborn character. Nell chuckled, relieved to see the playful interaction. Her mood lightened as she observed her allies' camaraderie and determination. Nell grinned kindly at Yuki and Leffy, trusting them entirely. She voiced her reliance on both of them, showing her assistance and confidence in their skills. 4 hours later, the party sat back at a table after their initial subjugation quest. Despite Leffy scaring off all the monsters, only the goblins stayed, and the quest ultimately faltered. They chuckled and argued, reflecting on the chaotic but memorable experience. Masked figures assembled in a dim chamber. They reported that the demon sword had been stolen, and tension filled the chamber. The party discussed the thief, suspecting a tourist. They questioned whether the governor was involved, attempting to make sense of the unexpected loss. They discussed options, considering brainwashing the thief. Some doubted the strategy, noting the thief's strength and resilience against the demon sword. A shift of strategy was proclaimed. The party resolved there was no need for restraint, and readied to act decisively. Strategies were set in motion. The conspirators committed thoroughly, vowing to protect their homeland by any means necessary. Yuki and Lefesus waved goodbye as Nell departed for the day, grinning under the vivid heavens. Their home felt lighter without instant threat. They strolled through the silent village roads, noting how well Nell had adjusted to their peculiar household and routines. They considered on the absence of others, sensing the day was abruptly tranquil and savoring the serene surroundings jointly. Lefisios acknowledged she felt an odd disappointment in someone's absence. Yuki appreciated merely strolling alongside her without rush. They pondered how much had happened in less than half a year, yet their bond felt timeless, mightier than days counted. Yuki cautioned himself to conserve energy for emergencies, avoiding chores. Abruptly, a loud scream pierced the road, startling him. Lefisios and Yuki observed a girl rushing towards them, freaked, while shadows and tension filled the village roads. A man appeared, gripping a blade wildly, yelling regarding a monster. Yuki remained serene, assessing the threat. The man struck violently. Yuki responded instantly, stopping him with precise move before he could harm anyone. The assailant collapsed, trembling and overcame. Yuki and Lefisios stayed composed, the village quieting as threat was swiftly neutralized. Yuki and Lefisios observed something odd. Yuki's magic eyes were pressed to detect the source, alerting them to threat. The possessed man became enveloped in shadowy magic, revealing he was guided despite being already lifeless. Yuki considered on his experience with necromancers, recognizing the assailant was no longer human, relieved it was not living. Lefisios stated it was a zombie, clarifying that the caster responsible was unseen, and Yuki assessed the threat cautiously. She directed Yuki to ensure all bodies were entirely ruined. They intended to eliminate the undead and the caster securely. Yuki readied to intercept the manipulated man, recognizing magic was controlling him. He acted swiftly to avoid harm. He concentrated, using a larger mystical force to take over the control and stabilize the circumstance. The man collapsed, and Yuki observed, relieved that the threat was from necromancy, not a living human. Lefisios stated that the necromancer's deeds were malicious, and all guided bodies required to be neutralized entirely. Yuki resolved to alert the guards using the bell, ensuring the village could respond and remain secure from further threats. A bell rang urgently, signaling an emergency. Yuki learned that dragons were approaching the city, prompting instant evacuation. Yuki intended to use concealment magic to scout the city from above. Lefisios stayed behind, observing the unfolding events cautiously. Dragons appeared in the heavens, their wings spreading wide. Yuki readied to act swiftly to counter their threat. Nell pressed villagers to run. She employed her sacred magic, Turn Undead, to command the undead assailant to return to its realm. Details appeared, stating the undead phenomenon. Yuki and Leficios absorbed the information, understanding how to battle these supernatural threats efficiently. Nell recognized that undead were appearing in the city, and even victims were rising, hinting at someone manipulating events behind the scenes. She regretted parting from Yuki and Leficios when the disorder began, understanding she required to act swiftly. Nell resolved to think and move strategically, aiming to save as numerous folk as feasible from the undead threat. City guards readied defenses, directed not to break formations, gripping the line against the encroaching threat. The governor's estate reinforced its defenses, guards waiting prepared to protect against the undead assault while Nell took initiative. Guards coordinated the city's defense, managing refugees and reporting the circumstance. Leaders assessed the threat of undead in the roads. The governor directed commanders to prioritize taking care of citizens, then proceed to the city center where the uprising was strongest. Leaders rallied the troops, motivating them to reclaim the city from undead forces while maintaining morale and command. Veteran troops considered on past battles, comparing the present undead threat with previous wars and skirmishes. The governor resolved to act for his citizens, readying to personally swing his blade to protect the city and its folk. Yuki looked down at the town square from above, noticing horrified villagers rushing from approaching dangers. The disorder was immense as he observed from his wings, understanding the severity of the assault. Zombies surged through the roads, reaching the defenseless citizens. Adventurers battled back fiercely, cutting down the undead as alarm spread. Yuki observed wordlessly, noting the struggle of humans and monsters alike. He assessed the circumstance steadily, recognizing that severing limbs and using sacred water was a successful plan. Yuki pondered allowing the adventurers handle the battle themselves. Thoughtful, he pondered who orchestrated the assaults and why the city confronted such targeted aggression. The motives behind the disorder stayed unclear, insisting cautious observation. Yuki concluded that the invaders aimed to divert rather than conquer. He stayed vigilant, contemplating the balance of control and the security of the city's inhabitants. Yuki spotted a party in the distance, concealed near a lone tree. Comfort and urgency mixed as he recognized their place. Nell charged forward, striking at approaching zombies. Her swift assaults formed room between the monsters and the exposed villagers. Adventurers kept battling strategically, cutting down zombies with accuracy. The roads were strewn with fallen foes as their defense gripped. Yuki and Nell coordinated wordlessly. He directed cautious move, balancing a fence while maintaining the region secure as the city acted as a refuge. Nell passed sacred water to Yuki, signaling the last step. Jointly they ensured the zombies were neutralized and the villagers secured. Yuki gripped a elevated-grade mana potion, readying to act against the concealed threat. Nell looked astonished, trusting his judgment. Yuki assured her he would handle the incoming party. Nell consented to stay behind, prepared to assistance when required. Nell voiced willingness to do anything in return for Yuki's strategy. He pondered her offer cautiously, noting her dedication. She recognized her words might be misunderstood. Both paused, tension and worry blending with the urgency of fight. Nell swiftly explained her limits, warning Yuki not to overstep. He nodded, respecting her limits while arranging the next move. Yuki tenderly patted Nell on the head, signaling confidence and questioning for guidance through the city. From a distance, 5 hooded figures were spotted near a lone tree, observing wordlessly. The figures advanced closer, their intentions unclear, forming tension as Yuki observed and readied. Yuki concentrated on the approaching party, assessing their numbers and arranging a plan to confront them. With swift movement, Yuki struck the hooded figures, cutting through their advance and readying for the upcoming fight. Yuki struck swiftly, cutting through the initial hooded figure's assault with accuracy and pace. One hooded figure confronted Yuki directly, questioning if he was genuinely a demon, while advancing aggressively. Yuki dodged a perilous strike, responding with quick reflexes and a confident stance, prepared for the next assault. He parried incoming strikes, clashing swords with the assailants and forming room for strategic advantage. A foe attempted to summon reinforcements, but Yuki stood firm, ready to block the ceremony and maintain control of the battlefield. Yuki confronted a summoning circle filled with monstrous beasts, including a bear, wolves, and a huge feline. He assessed their strength and gross look, noting they were far mightier than the undead sent to the city. The foe commander freaked as Yuki's control of the battlefield became evident. Recognizing the threat he underestimated, Yuki rushed towards the foe, refusing to let them execute their strategy, advancing swiftly to counter the summoning. He dodged a concealed trap, landing securely while staying ready to engage the monsters and any further assaults. Yuki concentrated intensely, gathering all his magic power to perform a dispel spell capable of destroying the foe's magic configuration. He landed a decisive strike against the foe, ending the clash and demonstrating the immense strength of the demon lord within him, leaving the foe overcome and powerless. Yuki oversaw villagers clearing debris from the ruined graveyard. Leficios observed softly, ensuring security while villagers worked. The town gradually recovered from past assaults, rebuilding with determination. Illuna bore supplies, consulting a chart to coordinate reconstruction. Villagers assembled food and supplies, while everyone contributed to restoring their homes. Yuki directed logistics efficiently. Yuki and Leficios reviewed the advancement of rebuilding. The town stayed damaged but functional. Yuki ensured injured folk obtained care, and that corpses were handled respectfully. Leficios recognized a perilous figure from previous encounters. Yuki readied cautiously, remembering the threat. Illuna observed intently, analyzing their next move. The governor's strategy unfolded as Yuki and allies awaited intelligence from captured foes. Plan and negotiation began, with the town's security depending on cautious decisions. Yuki and Leficios rested within the rebuilt home. They considered on the city's magic circle, which had summoned the undead. Leficios softly consented with Yuki, considering how the city's defenses and remnants of magic affected everyone's security and routine. Leficios clutched a little snack, maintaining it for herself. Yuki observed her cautiously, noting her protective and thoughtful conduct. Yuki reached out, providing a piece of the snack to Leficios. She hesitated, then accepted it cautiously. Leficios eventually sampled the snack. Both felt the straightforward comfort of sharing, a brief instant of calm amid their ongoing responsibilities. Yuki showed Leficios a band he had bought for her. The band could adjust to her dragon form, preventing it from breaking. Leficios questioned if she required to wear it all the time. Yuki stated she could wear it whenever she liked. Yuki observed Leficios' palm returning to ordinary scale. He recognized the timing was perfect for giving the band. They sat outside while villagers passed by. Yuki and Leficios readied for a silent instant, sharing the present privately. Leficios accepted the band. Yuki placed it on her finger, and they sat jointly peacefully, savoring the uncommon serene evening. Leficios reached for glowing lights in the night heavens, savoring an instant of serene. Yuki observed softly beside her. Leficios grinned at Yuki and talked softly, gripping his palm as they sat jointly. Yuki's heart felt lighter. She voiced her joy, thanking Yuki for the thoughtful gesture. Yuki softly acknowledged her thanks, sensing satisfied with her delight. Yuki and Leficios traveled back to their village. The landscape prompted them of home, signaling security and comfort forward. Iruna rushed to Yuki with delight, and he came her enthusiasm. Everyone felt reunited, the family home welcoming them kindly again. Yuki came home with Leficios. A cheerful Layla greeted them, announcing their arrival while Yuki assured her. Yuki grinned kindly, noticing the joy on everyone's faces. The tranquil home welcomed them back after their trip. Iruna appeared, rushing to Yuki with enthusiasm. Yuki looked slightly astonished but reached out to hold her palm. Iruna's delight was infectious. She giggled and jumped, expressing comfort and joy at noticing Yuki again. Leficios observed Iruna's enthusiasm, commenting on her look matching Yuki's preferences. Yuki verified, astonished by her energy and joy. Yuki observed Leficios tenderly pat Iruna's head, wondering what caring of person she had become after her recent development. Iruna grinned, verifying her advancement. She had effectively accomplished a fresh talent, demonstrating her development and confidence. Iruna's transformation as a healer was revealed. Her attributes and skills had rose swiftly, startling Yuki with her possibility. Yuki considered on how Layla's guidance and the predator talent contributed to Iruna's accelerated development. He assessed her development cautiously. Leficios pointed something out to Yuki, making him consider her rapid evolution. Yuki observed thoughtfully, recognizing Iruna's remarkable advancement in strength. Leficios stated that she had given magic to she periodically. This assisted she grow and develop fresh skills swiftly. Yuki prompted she of her mystical strength, while Leficios observed the peculiar development she had experienced since their return. She voiced joy at matching others in look. Her delight considered the improvements in her skills and self-confidence. Yuki remarked on she's rapid evolution, acknowledging her development and the impacts of Layla's guidance. He assessed her transformation. Everyone observed she's advancement and the fresh roles of monsters like Fenrir's servants. Yuki appreciated the shifts that occurred throughout their absence. Fenrir wagged his tail cheerfully, recognized as a mythic class monster with numerous faithful servants. Leficios observed his remarkable condition contrasted to others. Yuki observed, stretching and relaxing, appreciating the serene after recent events. Yuki resolved to stay in his home for a while, savoring an uncommon instant of rest. He considered on his responsibilities but permitted himself a tranquil break, content with the present stability and the assistance of his allies around him. Yuki assembled she and Illuna in the workshop, readying to craft a fresh armament. Today, the dungeon would gain a mighty device. The supplies were laid out: Ori Halkon, a cursed demon axe, an old hero armament, and abundant magic power. Yuki readied himself to channel his energy. Yuki triggered his talent, merging the supplies into a blade. The armament glowed, growing in strength, a genuine instrument to battle wicked. Illuna inspected the sword curiously, noting its distinctive curve. Yuki stated it was a katana from the eastern lands. She attempted lifting it, struggling with its mass. Yuki cautioned her, but she grinned, resolved, showing her wolf heritage made her formidable enough. Yuki readied to test the fresh katana in the woods, taking Rear with him for a hunting trial. The morning air was crisp. They encountered monsters, and Yuki swung the katana with accuracy. Each strike cut smoothly, demonstrating the armament's sharpness and development possibility. Yuki marveled at the blade's balance and lightness, sensing his power enhanced by its magic. The sword replied perfectly to his motions. Rear commended the blade's performance, and Yuki pondered adding a magic circuit to turn overcame foes into ashes. The next day, Yuki reviewed magic circuits under Layla-sensei's guidance, practicing fresh techniques to improve the katana's skills and his battle talent. Layla-sensei stated to Yuki the concept of magic circuits, showing how inscribed symbols could replace chanting to channel magic additional efficiently. Yuki listened cautiously as Layla-sensei described how to arrange magic images, allowing spells to be cast visually, simplifying the process. She offered an example using fireball magic, dividing it into circuits and stating options for controlling, shaping, and shooting the spell with accuracy. Yuki asked regarding three-dimensional circuits, understanding how thoroughly connected circuits improve magic activation while minimizing delay and energy flow. Layla-sensei verified his insight, and Yuki's concepts impressed her. He now intended to apply three-dimensional circuits to enhance both battle and dungeon magic. Layla-sensei left abruptly, leaving Yuki puzzled, while ghostly mystical figures floated close, representing his next lesson in magic. Yuki observed the mystical projections as they interacted, stretching and advancing, demonstrating the flexible character of magic circuits in practice. He relaxed on a bench outside, grinning as two youthful spirits rested against him. The tranquil afternoon permitted for reflection. Back in the dungeon, Illuna and Rear kept practicing magic circuits, writing and inscribing symbols to strengthen their abilities under Yuki's supervision. Later, Yuki and the girls went fishing by the stream. They caught various creatures, including a huge fish and a bizarre monster, savoring the serene of the day jointly. Yuki attempted grilling meat outdoors, but Illuna teased him for losing a playful contest, making him the one cooking. The girls observed close, extending their magic to jokingly stretch and manipulate objects, forming a lively, playful scene. Yuki relaxed on the bench, observing the girls enjoy themselves. He grinned as his wolf ally howled in the distance. Illuna and Rear fed each other, showing playful affection and practicing teamwork, while Yuki observed the interactions with amusement. Their day ended with fishing and catching peculiar creatures. Yuki celebrated the catch while the girls responded with enthusiasm and laughter. Yuki grinned as he sampled food Iruna fed him. Layla cautioned not to spoil him too much, while the girls readied additional dishes. She consented that food tastes improved when shared, chuckling jointly as they enjoyed their food outdoors. Yuki and Illuna exchanged bites of vegetables, showing little gestures of compassion and teamwork while monitoring the grill. Illuna jokingly claimed victory in a feeding contest, teasing Yuki to feed her meat instead, sparking laughter among the party. Rear offered Yuki's portion to Layla-sensei, and the party shared food cheerfully, demonstrating confidence, friendship, and cooperation in their tranquil day. Yuki comforted Rear, apologizing for teasing her regarding sharing fish. He assured the wolf girl that he appreciated her generosity. Layla-sensei directed the girls on slicing fish correctly and charging it with meat, demonstrating care and practical guidance. As night fell, Yuki kept feeding Illuna with patience, the stars overhead forming a tranquil and mild atmosphere. The party enjoyed a silent instant outdoors, sharing food and laughter, highlighting their growing bond and harmony. News reached of a coup d'etat, a sudden disruption that drew focus away from their tranquil existence, signaling trouble in the kingdom. Yuki recognized he had let his guard down, sensing the tension of responsibility, as the kingdom's political crisis began to weigh on him. She reflects on the recent disturbances, recognizing the demon sword incident and undead uproar were mere distractions. Yuki considers how Alfiro's army was manipulated with drugs and brainwashing magic, preventing them from revealing crucial details. She notes the capital is guided by the prince's faction, with the king and princess absent, leaving no instant course of move. Yuki worries regarding the elevated probability of a prince-led invasion, recognizing the threat their army poses. He turns to Shi, questioning the church's strategies as they prepare for the next move. She worries that the hard-headed prince will pressure the church if he gains political power, basing her concern on his past deeds. Yuki notes the church is arranging to rescue the king soon, though the king's present condition remains uncertain. She feels assured but conflicted, while Yuki decides to assist the rescue effort to protect the king rather than confront the prince directly. Yuki resolves to operate through the anti-prince faction, avoiding direct detection while ensuring the prince can be overcome. He proclaims his intent to aid as the demon lord, arranging to help the church's operation cautiously. Yuki assures he has a strategy for the upcoming operation before setting off. He bids farewell to the girls, reminding them to behave while he is away. She warns him not to flirt with other girls, and Yuki entrusts the dungeon security to her. Yuki expresses his confidence in Shi, counting on her to manage everything in his absence. He rides with Rear, heading to the capital to carry out his strategy, while the girls watch him go. A party of folk screams in alarm while rushing through the woods, indicating sudden threat approaching them swiftly. The girls discuss why being near their master feels cozy, recognizing his magic power affects individuals uniquely. Leffy explains the master's magic attracts others, subtly influencing conduct and forming a carrying of charm or womanizer impact. The girls notice a band on Leffy's palm and question its significance, intrigued by its feasible meaning or origin. Leffy confirms she obtained the band from Yuki, startling the girls while they discuss his feelings and intentions. Leffy reflects on her feelings, noting her initial actual experience spending time with someone without dread or hostility. The girls remark on Yuki's peculiar character, and Leffy admits she is unsure of her own feelings regarding him. Throughout the night, they discuss how Leffy and Yuki initially encountered, recalling the peculiar circumstances that brought them jointly. Yuki and Shi travel towards their destination, noting their faster advancement contrasted to traveling by horse for 2 days. The party arrives at capital Al-Shil, readying to continue their operation as the fortified city gates come into view. Yuki and Shi observe the castle gates and guards, wondering how they can enter the heavily secured capital without being observed. Shi panics noticing tightened security, recognizing the difficulty of getting within, while Yuki remains serene and assesses the circumstance. They discuss the emergency-only magic tools previously intended to conceal their approach, originally meant for meeting with the church's knights. Yuki and Shi confirm their strategy for after accessing the capital, acknowledging the limitations of their stealth approach. Yuki uses his stealth talent, bearing Shi as they attempt to scale the barriers and bypass the guards unseen. She panics as Yuki instructs her to stay silent while he cautiously maneuvers them over the castle barriers. Yuki and Shi soar above the castle barriers using wings, startling Shi as they see the guards below. She reacts to a sudden tone, but Yuki reminds her to stay silent, maintaining their stealthy approach intact. Guards notice something from above, calling for additional light and alerting others, increasing tension for Yuki and Shi. Yuki explains that the guards are now alert, anticipating the next steps as Shi questions his strategy. Leffy observes the city below as Yuki strategies their descent, readying to enter the castle undetected despite looming threat. Yuki and Shi launch towards the castle, beginning their assault, announcing themselves as the Demon Lord and Hero duo charging in.